Chapter 1175. As the great elder of the Long family, Longhang already knew about Longao's situation. Longhang was shocked that Longao was still alive and had barged into the Martial Artists Alliance alone. He was still alive after entering the forbidden area. Such a thing had never happened before in the Long family. Longhang knew Long Di Tian very well. This family head would never touch something that did not benefit him. Moreover, the family head's actions this time meant that he had completely fallen out with the Martial Artists Alliance. Everyone knew what the Martial Artists Alliance meant. That was right. In order to find out what had happened, Longhang also sent out countless experts to search for Longao's whereabouts. At the Martial Artists Alliance. In the main hall. Other than the Alliance Master, Tong Tiendi, who was sitting at the head of the table, there were 4 people sitting on his left and right. They were the 8 Vice Alliance Masters of the Martial Artists Alliance. The entire main hall was silent. No one said a word. No one knew how much time had passed. Alliance Master, we still don't know if Longao is dead. Now, the Long family, Sword Sect, and 5 Elements Sect are all looking for Longao. If they find us first, we will be in a passive position. Shangguan Ye's meaning was clear. The 4 superpowers were all looking for Longao. Now, it was time to see who would find Longao first. He nodded. If it was in the past, Tong Tiendi might have wanted to keep Longao here. However, after the 5 Elements Sect and Sword Sect intervened, Tong Tiendi no longer paid any attention to Longao. If he found Longao now, there was only one way to deal with him, and that was to kill him. Alliance Master, what should we do now? Find Longao first. Send out everyone to search for him. Yes, Alliance Master. The 8 vice leaders all stood up with serious expressions on their faces. This concerned the Alliance's face, and if they could not find Longao, the Alliance would lose all face. Tang Hao was extremely unwilling to kill Longao, but things had already come to this point. No matter how unwilling he was, he could only endure the pain and kill him. The 8 vice leaders left the hall. Just as the 8 of them left, Hades suddenly appeared. Alliance Master, if Yu Yin finds out about this, I'm afraid. Hades didn't finish his sentence, but the meaning behind his words was clear. Both Hades and Tong Tiendi were well aware of the relationship between Yu Yin and Longao. The 2 of them were almost certain that if Yu Yin knew about Longao, Yu Yin would definitely leave the Martial Artists Alliance. How could the 2 of them agree to such a thing? We can't let Yu Yin know about this. Alliance Master, we can't keep this a secret. Hearing this, Tong Tiendi's face darkened. The Alliance had spent so much effort to cultivate Yu Yin, and he couldn't let her leave so easily. Moreover, Yu Yin was his hope, and also the Alliance's hope. He knew about this, and so did Hades. As for the others, they knew nothing. Hades, I have a way to make Yu Yin forget Longao forever. Hearing the Alliance Master's words, Hades was shocked. Hades wasn't an idiot. Of course, he knew what the Alliance Master was talking about. Hades couldn't wait any longer. He said anxiously, Alliance Master, if we use this method, Yu Yin's cultivation speed will be hindered, and, Hades wanted to say something, but hesitated. He continued, I will do my best to delay Yu Yin until Yu Yin breaks through to the Nirvana realm. Even if we use this method, I believe it won't be much of a hindrance. Nodding his head in agreement, Tong Tiendi continued, Yu Yin can't have the slightest mishap. Longao must die. Hades already knew about Longao's matter. He had charged into the Martial Artists Alliance alone and killed dozens of their disciples. This kind of thing had never happened before. If Longao didn't die, how could the Martial Artists Alliance establish itself in the Tianwu continent? Because of this, Longao's death was certain. 5 Elements Sect. Sima too, who also hadn't found Longao, was also very helpless. That was because the old ancestor had already ordered him to protect Longao. Although he didn't know what the old ancestor meant, Sima too didn't dare to disobey. Others might not know what the 5 Element slaves were, but as the sect master of the 5 Elements Sect, Sima too naturally knew. There was no doubt about it. The sect master of the 5 Elements Sect, Sima too, was almost certain that the 5 Element slaves were given to Longao by the old ancestor. The more it was so, the more curious Sima too was. What was the relationship between the old ancestor and Longao? Not only that, Sima too was even more surprised. The so-called Longao was actually the Black Wolf who had entered the Five Elements sect. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have found it hard to believe. Could it be that the person who had attracted the Five Elements light was Longao? Was he the so-called Black Wolf? If that was really the case, Sima too could almost guess the old ancestor's meaning. If he could recruit Longao, it would definitely be an unexpected benefit for the Five Elements sect. If that was really the case, Sima too was very clear that no matter what happened, he had to find Longao first. In the main hall of the Sword sect. Father, we don't know whether Longao is alive or dead. I don't care what you do, you have to find Longao for me. This time, the Sword sect master, Murong, did not hesitate to provoke the Martial Artists Alliance in order to take Longao away by force. It was all because of his daughter. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so bored as to provoke Tong Tiendi. Younger, Longao created the Martial Artists Alliance on his own this time and made a ruckus at the Martial Artists Alliance. It was a bit reckless. If we find Longao first, we'll be fine. But if others find Longao first, we'll be in big trouble. Father, how did Longao leave? Murong Younger was very curious about this. After all, Longao could do this without paying a price. Even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't believe it. Because of this, Murong Younger was very worried about Longao. Taking a step back, even if Longao didn't have the slightest bit of backlash, once the other three superpowers found him, the consequences would be unimaginable. I don't know. I believe a lot of people want to know about this. I have to admit that this kid has some guts. If he can join our sword sect, it might not be a bad thing. Father, aren't you afraid of the other three superpowers? I'm not afraid. When has our sword sect ever been afraid of anyone? Younger, I know what you're thinking. Longao is to my liking. Don't worry, I'll definitely find him. How could Murong not know what his daughter was thinking? However, he truly admired Longao's courage and talent. For such a person, provoking the Martial Artists Alliance and Long family was more or less worth it. Thank you, father. Murong Younger did not continue to force her father. After all, everyone was looking for Longao. She wanted to see who would find him first. Chapter 1176. Dragon Peak. Dragon Sect's main hall. Long Ying and Dugu Bai's expressions were extremely ugly. In the entire Dragon Sect, only the two of them knew that Longao had returned with injuries. He had fallen from the sky, covered in blood. Longao had forcefully broken through time and space and used the space-time wheel to return to Dragon Sect. He had only said one sentence, "Don't let anyone disturb and don't let anyone know." Master, it seems that Brother Long is in trouble. He nodded. I've just received news that seventh brother broke into the Martial Artists Alliance alone and killed more than 50 of their disciples. Then, Long Ying told him about Longao breaking into the Martial Artists Alliance alone. After hearing it, Dugu Bai was also shocked. Master, what should we do now? It's simple. No matter what happens, seventh brother's matter must not be leaked. Dugu Bai knew what the master meant. This matter could be big or small. He could tell at a glance. Dragon Peak, Back Mountain. In an extremely secluded courtyard. Longao had forcefully used the space-time wheel and was almost killed by the space-time tunnel due to the backlash. If it were an ordinary person, this would definitely be the result. However, Longao's situation was completely different. At the most critical moment, Jianling and Bai Ling, together with Long Fu's help, forcefully resisted the space-time tunnel's attack. What did that mean? This in itself was enough to prove that Jianling, Bai Ling, and Long Fu's strength were super strong. If this news were to spread, who knew if people would choose to believe it? Longao sat quietly on the ground, wholeheartedly focusing on his recovery. Longao knew very well that he had forcefully used the space-time wheel this time. If he was not careful, he would be doomed eternally. For 10 whole days. Slowly opening his eyes, Longao let out a long sigh of relief and muttered to himself, "I'm finally alive." A white figure flashed. Bai Ling appeared and said worriedly, "Brother Long, you're lucky this time. You weren't killed by the spacetime tunnel. If there's a next time, can you promise me that from now on, you won't use the spacetime wheel by force?" Longao knew what Bai Ling meant. Would he be able to leave the Martial Artists Alliance without using the time wheel? Unless it was a last resort, no one would be willing to use the spacetime wheel. Others might not know, but how could Longao not know? Forcefully activating the spacetime wheel was equivalent to gambling with one's life. Bai Ling, I promise you. Longao couldn't bear not to agree. After all, Bai Ling's kindness and everything about Bai Ling were all for him. After chatting with Bai Ling for a while, Longao endured the pain in his body and found Long Ying and Dugu Bai. "Seventh brother, are you okay?" Seeing Longao suddenly appear, both Long Ying and Dugu Bai were extremely worried. 10 days ago, Longao's injuries were so serious that they didn't even know if he was dead or alive. Seeing that Longao was fine, the two of them were more or less relieved. "I'm fine, brother. The news of my return wasn't leaked, right?" Longao knew that he had broken into the Martial Artists Alliance alone and killed more than 50 of their disciples. He had also attracted the Long family, the Sword Sect, and the Five Elements Sect. Longao was almost certain that once the news of his return to the Dragon Sect was leaked, the four superpowers would come looking for him. If that was really the case, how should he deal with it? With the Dragon Sect's current strength, how could it fight against the four superpowers? The Sword Sect, the Five Elements Sect, and the Long family's motives were still unknown. However, Longao was certain that the Martial Artists Alliance would definitely deal with him. Not only him, but the sect behind him would also suffer. That was precisely why. Longao knew that no matter what happened, he couldn't let the Martial Artists Alliance know that he had returned to the Dragon Sect. He couldn't let the sect get involved in this battle. The sect would definitely rise in the Tianwu continent, but now wasn't the time. When the thousands of people in the sect had all refined the Divine Dao inheritance and become Divine Dao martial artists, they would only have strength that was infinitely close to a second-rate power. If they were to rise at this time, they would probably be destroyed as soon as they appeared. "Seventh brother, don't worry. Other than the two of us, no one else knows about your return." Hearing this, Longao finally heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Big brother Dugu, this matter is very important. I believe you've already heard about me and the Martial Artists Alliance. From now on, you have to develop cautiously, or even stop. Dugu Bai and Long Ying didn't say anything. They already knew about Longao and the Martial Artists Alliance. They also knew that Longao would definitely have more to say. Try to hide the matter of the Dragon Sect as much as possible. We can't let the Martial Artists Alliance or the other superpowers know. They nodded. Dugu Bai and Long Ying naturally wouldn't ask too much. The two of them knew what to ask and what not to ask. They also knew when to ask and when not to ask. Dugu Bai and Long Ying didn't dare to be the slightest bit careless. They immediately took action. For the sake of safety, the two of them decided not to develop for the time being. They had to completely hide. That was the safest way. The four superpowers were frantically searching for Longao. Longao already knew about the rumors outside, as well as the movements of the four superpowers. However, he knew that as long as he didn't make a move, it wouldn't be easy for the four superpowers to find him in the vast martial heaven continent. However, Longao also knew that if this continued, there would be trouble sooner or later. No one knew when the four superpowers would discover him. Once his tracks were exposed, it wouldn't just be him. Even his sect would be destroyed. Thus, Longao began to quietly think about what to do next. He wanted to see how to deal with the four superpowers. Outside the Dragon Peak, the master of the five-element gate, Sima Tu, and the five vice-masters were the master of the metal element gate, Shu Hai, the master of the wood element gate, Ji Yu Feng, the master of the water element gate, Luo Ningxue, the master of the fire element gate, Bai Yusha, and the master of the earth element gate, Wu Ling. Looking at the six of them, Longao would be lying if he said he wasn't shocked. He really couldn't figure out how the six of them had found him. Should I call you Black Wolf, or Longao? Whatever. Seeing that he wasn't the slightest bit afraid or apprehensive, the 6 of them were a bit surprised. As expected of someone who dared to fight against the Martial Artists Alliance. The 6 of them greatly admired him. Whether or not Longao defeated the Martial Artists Alliance, just this courage alone was worthy of their respect. P.S. Today is Christmas Eve. My wife suddenly wants to go to the movies. There's no way around it. I can't write the last chapter. Tomorrow, the 10 chapters will explode. Everyone, please forgive me. Happy Christmas Eve. Chapter 1177. I really want to ask, how did you find this place? Longao was very curious about this. Under normal circumstances, as long as the news was not leaked, even the 4 superforces would not be able to find him in the vast Tianwu continent so quickly. Longao believed in his big brother and Dugu Bai, the 2 of them would not casually reveal this matter. In that case, how did the 5 Elements sect find him? Longao, you have to know that we are friends, not enemies. Longao did not speak, but looked coldly at the 6 people in front of him. I already know that you have met the old ancestor. It seems that the old ancestor values you, otherwise, he would not have given you the 5 Element slave. I see. Hearing Sima Tu's words, Longao breathed a sigh of relief. You are right. The 5 Element slave was given to me by the 5 Elements patriarch. In that case, you and I are indeed friends, not enemies. After confirming that the 6 people were not here to cause trouble, Longao breathed a sigh of relief. This was the dragon sect's base. Once a battle broke out, the fish in the moat would be affected. At this moment, Longao had already guessed how Sima Tu and the others had located his location. If he was not wrong, it should be the 5 Element slave. Thinking of this, Longao felt more or less uncomfortable. It would be a lie to say that he was not afraid. In the dragon sect's main hall, the 9 people sat down. No matter what, Longying and Dugu Bai were the master and vice master of the dragon sect. Longao, I believe that you are already aware of the situation in the continent. Now that the Martial Artists Alliance is looking for you, you have acted a little recklessly this time. Of course, Longao had already received news that the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family were looking for him. Otherwise, he would not have sealed the dragon sect and not leaked this information. Sect Master Sima, I believe that this is not the only reason you came to find me, right? Longao was not a fool. If Sima Tu brought the 5 vice sect masters here just to tell him that the Martial Artists Alliance was looking for him, then Sima Tu would be in a bit of a pain in the ass. Sima Tu said straightforwardly, Longao, you and I are both straightforward people, so I will not beat around the bush. Longao did not speak. Longying and Dugu Bai did not speak either. Since the patriarch value you so much, Longao, if you are willing, we can form an alliance. I believe that when that time comes, even the Martial Artists Alliance will not dare to attack. Regardless of whether others believed it or not, he absolutely did not believe it. If it was before, Longao would definitely not agree, because he firmly believed that there was no such thing as a free lunch in the world. It was impossible for the 5 Elements sect to be so kind to help him. But now, Longao knew very well that after he broke into the Martial Artists Alliance alone and killed their disciples, he and the Martial Artists Alliance were in a situation where one of them had to die. Even if he was willing to let go of this grudge, would the Martial Artists Alliance be willing? Not to mention, other than the Martial Artists Alliance, there was also the Long family eyeing him covetously from the side. He established the Dragon Sect and did not die in the Forbidden Area. Plus, Long Hang was a threat. Everything seemed to be disadvantageous to him. If he could form an alliance with the 5 Elements sect, then things would be much easier. As one of the top 10 sects, the 5 Elements sect's deterrence was real. Just as Sima Tu said, once the Dragon Sect and the 5 Elements sect joined forces, even the Long family and the Martial Artists Alliance would not dare to attack. Sect Master Sima, since you've already put it this way, I'll get straight to the point. At this point, Longao did not hold back. After all, in an alliance, he would get as much as he could. The 5 Elements sect might not be afraid, but he could not help but worry. Please speak. Sect Master Sima, once we form an alliance, to be honest, I believe you know the strength of the Dragon Sect. I hope that after the alliance, you can help the Dragon Sect. What do you mean? He sneered in his heart. Longao cursed in his heart. Sima too was indeed an old fox. He knew what was going on, but he pretended not to know. He was simply shameless to the extreme. Although he cursed in his heart, Longao said with a smile, Sect Master Sima, what I mean is very simple. After the alliance, I want to develop the Dragon Sect quickly. I hope you can help me. Just as Longao had guessed, Sima too already knew, but he did not want to promise. However, with the old ancestor's words, Sima too could only agree even if he was unwilling. Until now, Sima too still did not know why the old ancestor gave the 5-element slave to Longao. After all, they knew very well what the 5-element slave represented. The old ancestor did not even give the 5-element slave to him, but to an outsider. He felt very uncomfortable. Sima too was even more shocked. Longao, an outsider, not only attracted the 5 elements light that had not appeared in 10,000 years, but also cultivated the power of the 5 elements. According to the old ancestor, if it was not for the fact that Longao did not have the 5 elements body, it was not impossible for him to take over his position. According to the old ancestor. Even so, Longao was a genius that had not been seen in 10,000 years. If he continued to cultivate the power of the 5 elements, it would not be a small matter. How could Sima too not understand the old ancestor's meaning? Longao, I understand what you mean. Okay, I promise you. However, with the current strength of the Dragon Sect, don't go too far. If you attack the other 9 forces, forgive me for being powerless. Sima too nodded. Longao did not expect Sima too to help him deal with the other 9 super forces. Not to mention himself, even if the 5 elements sect personally took action, not to mention 1 against 9, the 5 elements sect might not be able to win even in a one-on-one situation. Sect Master Sima, thank you. Just like that, the 2 sides reached an agreement and formed a temporary alliance. However, Longao did not fully trust the other party. It was still the same sentence. Whether the 5 elements sect was a friend or a foe, no one knew. If the 5 elements sect had ulterior motives, the one who would suffer in the end would be him. As the saying goes, caution is the parent of safety. After sending off the 6 people of the 5 elements sect, Dugubai said somewhat anxiously, Brother Long, do you really trust the 5 elements sect that much? Longao naturally knew what Dugubai meant. The 3 of them sat down, and Longao said, I don't. Since you don't trust them, why do we still have to ally with the 5 elements sect? If the 5 elements sect plays tricks behind our backs, we will be in a very passive position. 7th brother, Brother Dugu is right. The 5 elements sect is not a good thing. Chapter 1178. Big Brother Dugu, with our Dragon Sect's current strength, without using the Divine Dragon Corps slaves, how many people do we have? 0. Although they didn't want to admit it, they knew that it was the truth. In the Tianwu continent, if it was a second-rate force, there would definitely be a supreme divine realm martial artist. There were even rumors that the top 3 second-rate forces even had Nirvana realm martial artists. Long Ying and Dugubai looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes. 7th brother, what should we do now? Ally. Longao had more or less thought about this matter. Otherwise, he wouldn't have agreed to ally with the 5-element sect this time. 7th brother, I know what you mean. But if we ally with the 5-element sect, if they play dirty, how should we deal with it? Longao was very clear about the worries of Dugubai and Long Ying. He smiled. Longao said without the slightest bit of worry, I have full confidence in the 5-element sect. However, you all should not relax in the slightest. This time, I want to take over the 5-element sect and develop the strength of my Dragon Sect. The 2 of them were very worried in their hearts. However, since Longao had already said so, even if the 2 of them were unwilling in their hearts, they could only agree. Tianwu continent. It had been more than half a month since Longao broke into the Martial Artists Alliance alone. The 4 superpowers, the Sword Sect, the Long family, the 5-element sect, and the Martial Artists Alliance, were all looking for Longao's traces at the same time. It was easier said than done to find a person in the vast sea of people. Just as everyone was speculating about Longao's fate, the Five-Element sect suddenly announced to the world that they had formed an alliance with the Dragon sect. The moment the news came out, it shocked the world. If it was just the Dragon sect, it wouldn't be a big deal. But in the next second, the spokesperson of the Dragon sect, Longao, personally came out and announced the alliance between the Dragon sect and the Five-Element sect. The Five-Element sect and the Dragon sect had formed an alliance. What kind of concept was this? Not only was Longao not dead, but he had even created the Dragon sect and formed an alliance with the Five-Element sect. All of this had left everyone completely confused. They had no idea what was going on. This time, Longao did not let go of any opportunity to form an alliance with the Five-Element sect. In the following period of time, Long Ying and Dugu Bai led the Dragon sect. With the help of 200 mystical dragons and the Five-Element sect, they developed rapidly. Their development speed increased by 100 times. Now that things had come to this point, the encouragement in Longao's heart had disappeared. No matter what, Long family already knew about the 200 mystical dragons. Since that was the case, why not use them? However, it should be known that using the mystical dragon corpse slave or not was a completely different concept. Long family. When Long Di-Tien, Long Bo, and Long Hang heard that Longao had formed an alliance with the Five-Element sect, they were all extremely shocked and furious. Other than being angry at Longao, more importantly, they were angry at the Five-Element sect. Longao's matter this time had basically provoked the Martial Artists Alliance. He had even implicated the Long family. This was something that everyone in the world knew. Since that was the case, why did the Five-Element sect choose to form an alliance with Longao? Provoking the Sword sect, the Martial Artists Alliance, and the Long family? Or could it be that from the beginning to the end, the Five-Element sect had never taken the Sword sect, the Martial Artists Alliance, and the Long family seriously? Father, Longao is here. Who? Hearing his son's words, Long Di-Tien seemed to be a little shocked. This was because he did not know why Longao had come to the family at this time. Before Long Bo could speak, Longao's figure had already entered the hall. Longao greets the clan leader. Looking at the young man in black with blood-red hair in front of him, Long Di-Tien's heart was filled with admiration. Not to mention other things, just Longao's courage was already worthy of everyone's admiration. It was a pity that such a person did not belong to the Long family. Long Di-Tien was not a fool. Longao's actions time and time again had already made Longao's intentions clear. He was very dissatisfied in his heart, but Long Di-Tien knew that even if he was dissatisfied, what could he do? Longao, since you are not willing to come back with me, why did you come back? Clan leader, back then at the Martial Artists Alliance, as long as I left with you, I believe that the Martial Artists Alliance, the Sword sect, and the Five-Element sect would all point their spears at you at the same time. I will bear the consequences of my own mistakes. I do not want to implicate the family. Longao spoke as if he was thinking for the family, causing Long Di-Tien to be a little stunned. He clearly knew that Longao was being shameless, but there was nothing he could do. Longao, what's going on with your alliance with the Five-Element sect? Without waiting for Longao to speak, Long Di-Tien snorted coldly, and his face instantly became gloomy. Longao, previously in the 9 provinces continent, you established the Dragon sect without permission. Seeing that you were young and ignorant, I did not pursue this matter. But now, you actually established the Dragon sect in the Sky Martial continent, and even formed an alliance with the Five-Element sect. Let me ask you, where do you place my Long family? Longao's actions clearly showed that he did not place the Long family in his eyes. As long as Longao did not leave the Long family, then Longao would still be a member of the Long family. As long as he was a member of the Long family, then Longao would not be able to establish other sects without permission, let alone forming an alliance with other forces. If such a Long family could still endure it, then it would not be a Long family. Without the slightest bit of surprise or fear, Longao had already guessed it. Otherwise, he would not have returned alone. In the eyes of outsiders, Longao's actions were like a sheep walking into a tiger's den, walking right into a trap. Longao was very calm. Just the aura released by Long Di-Tien alone was very difficult to suppress Longao. After all, Longao possessed the aura of heaven and earth, and had even condensed it into his sword force. Regarding this, Long Di-Tien already knew. Master, the hierarchy of the Long family has already been told to everyone. Other than the Long family, the rest of the lower Long family are not members of the Long family at all. Long Di-Tien did not speak, but his face became more and more gloomy. This was because the Long family was divided into 9 levels. The higher the level, the stronger the strength. The Long family was a level 1 Long family. Longao's family was only a level 9 Long family at the beginning, and had advanced to a level 6 Long family. But even so, the family did not have any status in the eyes of the huge Long family. My family is only a level 9 family. Long family, when have you ever cared about our life and death? Longao sneered and continued, regardless of life and death, even if it is a Long family's martial technique, we are not qualified to cultivate it. As for the ancestral hall, we are not even qualified to enter it. As disciples of the Long family, why are we like this? I am not convinced, and I believe that many people are not convinced. I believe that the patriarch understands this point better than I do. But in all these years, has the patriarch ever cared about this matter? P.S. I spent the whole day with my wife on Christmas and returned home before 9 o'clock. The second chapter has been delivered. Even if I don't sleep tonight, I will finish the 10th chapter. Chapter 1179. He was speechless. How could Long Di-Tien not know the drawbacks of a Long family's hierarchy? There was nothing he could do. Even if Long Di-Tien was the patriarch of a Long family, he was helpless against the drawbacks of the hierarchy. The reason was simple. The hierarchy of the Dragon clan had been established over countless years, generation after generation. It was impossible for Zhongxian or his generation to achieve such a feat. Patriarch. To be honest, from the very beginning, I have never thought of myself as a member of a Long family. Thinking back to the past, Longao was just a piece of trash in the Scarlet Fire town. In front of the huge Long family, the level 9 Long family was the lowest existence. Under normal circumstances, no matter what level the Long family was, they all belonged to a Long family. With the power of the Long family, no one should dare to provoke them. But in the end, the level 9 Long family could be trampled on by anyone. Even the level 6 Long family did not care about the fact that they belonged to a Long family and could bully the family without restraint. What was the use of such a Long family? If the Long family took care of the low-level families, wouldn't Longao want to leave the Long family for no reason? In the end, Longao did not have a sense of belonging. Regarding this point, not only Longao, he believed that many low-level Long family members felt the same way. Longao, what do you want? Long Di-Tien's expression became uglier and uglier, because for countless years, such a thing had never happened in the Long family. Patriarch, from now on, my family and I will officially withdraw from the Long family. Longao, how dare you? Hearing Longao's words, Longbo was instantly enraged. His killing intent seemed to have materialized as it fiercely suppressed him. If not for the divine mathematician's words, Longbo and Long Di-Tien would have already attacked and killed Longao. The two of them knew very well what it meant for Longao to be expelled from the Long family without permission. Once this matter spread out, the consequences for the Long family would be unimaginable. Ever since the establishment of the Long family, there had never been a case of a low-level Long family breaking away. Go on. In the end, Long Di-Tien still held himself back and said the same thing. The godly mathematician's words were still ringing in his ears. There was no trace of fear on his face. Clan leader, I believe that in your eyes, a low-level clan is not even worth a fart. Since that's the case, it doesn't matter if I leave my Long family or not. At this moment, Longbo was furious to the extreme. Longao, you're too arrogant. Don't think that we won't dare to kill you. Longao was almost certain that there was something fishy going on with Long Di-Tien. Otherwise, he would have already dealt with him. According to Longao's previous plan, at the very least, he would wait until the dragon sect rose to prominence before slowly breaking away from the Long family. However, with the development of the situation, it seemed that he could no longer wait until then. Long family wouldn't offend the martial artists alliance for him. If they didn't break away from their Long family, it wouldn't be easy for them to form an alliance with the Five Elements sect. After thinking about it, Longao finally decided to stake it all and break away from the Long family, even if he had to become enemies with the Long family. This time, since Longao dared to go to the Long family alone, he must be very confident. He took a deep breath. Waving his hand, Long Di-Tien said coldly, "Get out. Father. Get out. Without my command, no one is allowed to enter. Those who disobey will be killed without mercy." Seeing that his father was really angry, Longbo didn't dare to say anything else. He slowly left the hall and personally guarded outside. There were only two people left in the hall. One was Longao, and the other was Long Di-Tien. The two of them looked at each other, but no one said anything. For a moment, the entire hall was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. Time passed bit by bit. After an unknown period of time, Long Di-Tien sighed deeply and said helplessly, "Longao, how could I not know what you just said? Even as the patriarch of the Long family, I can't do anything about it." Longao didn't say anything. Instead, he walked to the side and sat down. The division of ranks has already been formed. It can't be changed in a short period of time. "Longao, do you know why I didn't kill you?" The clairvoyant. Regarding this matter, Longao had already roughly guessed it in his heart. If not for the godly mathematician, would Long Di-Tien have let him off so easily? It was completely impossible. "That's right. It's the clairvoyant. He already said that you will be the savior of my Long family, so I won't kill you." "Thank you. Longao, I agree to let you leave the Long family. However, you must promise me that no matter what happens to the family in the future, you must help the family." Long Di-Tien's request was difficult, but it wasn't difficult either. Longao was very clear that if it wasn't for the clairvoyant, he believed that he would be in trouble. However, since Long Di-Tien had already said so, if he didn't agree, the Dragon Sect and the Long family would definitely fight. With the Dragon Sect's current situation, it was impossible for them to fight. After thinking about it, Longao finally nodded and agreed. "Patriarch, I can agree to this, but you have to promise me one thing." "Speak." "I hope that you can help the Dragon Sect develop. The most important thing right now was that without strength, it would be difficult to survive in the Tianwu continent. Longao wouldn't let himself be taken advantage of. Such a rare opportunity, he wouldn't easily give it up." "No problem, I will do my best to help you." "Longao, everything has been settled. Now, I want to ask you, what's going on with the primordial divine dragon and the 200 divine dragons?" Longao didn't tell him the whole truth. He only added a few things of his own. That was the gist of it. "Patriarch, to tell you the truth, 3 years ago, I saw the remnant soul left behind by the primordial divine dragon. He gave me the divine dragon pearl and a trace of his remnant soul's energy. I entered the dragon tomb and refined the dragon souls inside into slaves." Longao jumped in fright, but when he heard that it was the primordial divine dragon's actions, he instantly understood. The primordial divine dragon's intentions were very simple. He wanted me to take these slaves and develop the dragon sect. When the Long family and the dragon race are in trouble, I can help you. Longao's deception could be said to be watertight. Even Long Di-Tien did not have the slightest bit of doubt. "Longao, since the primordial divine dragon has chosen you, I trust that the divine diviner's prophecy won't be wrong." Long Di-Tien sighed in relief. The dragon race and the Long family's 10,000-year calamity would come. Who knew when it would come, or how to resolve it? Now that he had a plan, how could Long Di-Tien give it up so easily? "First Elder, the Patriarch has ordered that no matter who it is, no one is allowed to barge in. Otherwise, they will be killed. Don't try to trick me. I've already heard that Longao is inside. P.S. The 3rd chapter has been delivered. Little Nine will do his best to write the remaining 7 chapters. Upload them as soon as possible. Chapter 1180. Outside the main hall. Longhang's face was filled with anger because the patriarch did not inform him that Longao had entered the Long family. Wasn't he looking down on him? The entire Long family knew about this. The patriarch and the great elder were like fire and water. They had always been fighting openly and secretly. In order to fight, the two of them had chosen Longao as their opponent. The more Long Di wanted to protect Longao, the more Longhang wanted to kill Longao. Longhang, don't be so shameless. Ha ha ha, Longbo, you are only a disciple of the family. Whether you can become the patriarch in the future is still unknown. With your status, do you have the right to speak to me like this? Indeed. As the great elder of the Long family, even Long Di had to be courteous to Longhang, let alone Longbo daring to go against the patriarch already showed Longhang's status and identity. Come in. Before Longbo could continue speaking, Long Di voice came out from the main hall. Longbo, if you have the ability, go challenge the first on the earthboard. With that, Longhang went around Longbo and entered the main hall. Longbo, who was standing in his original position, had a gloomy face after hearing this. As the first in the Long family, he did not have the strength to challenge the first on the earthboard and could only barely enter the top 3. To him, this was a great humiliation. In the main hall, the moment he stepped in, Longhang saw Longao sitting on the right and sneered in his heart. Patriarch. Great elder, why are you looking for me in such a hurry? Asking the obvious. Long Di clearly knew why Longhang had come this time, but he pretended not to know. Patriarch, Longao. Before Longhang could speak, Long Di had already guessed what Longhang wanted to say. Waving his hand, he stopped Longhang from continuing. Long Di said, Longao did not die after entering the forbidden evil abyss. Then, everything that happened before will be written off. From now on, no one is allowed to mention it. Long Di wanted to help Longao, so he naturally would not give Longhang any chances. He cursed in his heart. Longhang did not force him. No matter what, Long Di was still the head of a Long family. There were some things that could not be overdone, as it would not benefit him at all. Clan leader, let's not talk about this. I've received news that Longao released 200 divine dragons at the Martial Artists Alliance to kill the Martial Artists Alliance disciples. I want to ask him about the divine dragons. Why should I tell you? Longao didn't give Longhang the slightest bit of respect. Anyway, Longao knew that he and Longhang had reached a point where one of them had to die. Longhang wanted him dead, and he wanted him dead as well. Since that was the case, there was no need to pretend. Although he was a little angry, Longhang eventually suppressed his anger and said, Clan leader, the matter of the mystical dragon is of great importance. I hope that the clan leader can get to the bottom of this. Otherwise, if the dragon tribe pursues the matter, it will be difficult for us to answer. Using the pressure of the dragon clan, he had to admit that Longhang was really shameless. Great elder, Longao has already explained this matter to me. As for the details, I will hold a meeting with the elders later. At that time, I will tell you. He was unwilling. If Longao didn't die, wouldn't it mean that Long Di had won? Longhang would never let such a thing happen. He said coldly, all right, I won't ask about this matter. Longao, I want to ask you. You established the dragon sect without permission. Not only that, but you also formed an alliance with the Five Elements sect. Do you even put my Long family in your eyes? Longhang was full of confidence. If Longao couldn't give a good explanation, just this point alone was enough to take Longao's life. Longhang, no, great elder, I have something to ask you. I hope you can answer it for me. Longhang didn't say anything, but it meant that he agreed. Why do you care so much about my matters? I'm puzzled. As the great elder of the Long family, you don't care about other things. Why do you care about my matters? Do you have nothing better to do? Without waiting for Longhang to speak, Longao continued, whether I establish the dragon sect or not, what does it have to do with you? Whether I form an alliance with the Five Elements sect or not, what does it have to do with you? Endure. In the end, Longhang couldn't endure it. Longao simply didn't put him in his eyes. If he could continue to endure it, then he wouldn't be the great elder. Moreover, if this matter were to spread, where would his face go? Longhang's body moved. As a Nirvana realm martial artist, Longhang's strength was needless to say. When he punched, ghosts and gods would cry. Longhang clearly used his full strength in this punch. His intention was very clear. He wanted to kill Longao. Would Longao be afraid? Longao stood in the same place, motionless. His face was filled with contempt and disdain. Seeing this, Longhang's heart thumped. Longao stood still. Could it be that he had a trump card? Longhang didn't believe that a mere ninth firmament demigod martialist would be able to withstand a punch from him. Boom! That punch was enough to split a mountain, but what was the result? It was like hitting a ball of cotton. No matter how hard Longhang tried, the cotton didn't move. It was like a bottomless pit. Looking at the mysterious old man who suddenly appeared in front of him, Longhang was shocked. He hurriedly retreated and asked coldly, "Who are you?" Long Di Tien definitely knew the five-element slave, but Longhang didn't. His face was filled with shock. The fact that the other party could withstand his punch was enough to prove his strength. At this moment, Longhang finally knew why Longao was so fearless. Why Longao dared to return to the Long family alone. It turned out that he had invited help. No wonder he was so arrogant. Enough. Long Di Tien was obviously impatient. He said coldly, "Great Elder, Longao has already left the Long family. Therefore, it's normal for him to establish a sect. You don't have to make a fuss." Hearing this, Longhang was stunned. Longao had left the Long family. To the Long family, this was a great humiliation. Not only that, the patriarch actually agreed. What kind of concept was this? He wasn't angry. Instead, he was pleasantly surprised. "Patriarch, as the great elder of the family, I have the right to ask about this matter. As the patriarch, you should put the family's interests first. But now, Longao has left the family, and you don't care about it. I really want to ask you, how can you face the ancestors of the family?" In order to deal with Long Di Tien, Longhang didn't hesitate to use the Long family's ancestors. Hearing this, Longao was depressed. Longao didn't say anything. This was a battle between the two of them. There was no need for him to get involved. This time, Long Di Tien was also unexpected. As for Longhang, they were destined to be enemies for life. P.S. The 4th chapter has been delivered. The remaining 6 chapters will be done by Little 9 as soon as possible. Chapter 1181. Longhang, what do you want? Long Di Tien, I request for an elders' meeting immediately. At that time, I will definitely make you leave the patriarch's seat. Longao was very annoyed by the internal strife between the two of them. "Patriarch, if there's nothing else for me, I'll take my leave." Just as Longao was about to leave, Longhang sneered, "You want to leave?" Although he was afraid of the mysterious old man beside Longao, this was still the Long family's territory. Was it possible for one person to fight against the entire Long family? F***ck after cursing, Longao did not continue to stay. His body had already disappeared into thin air. "You want to leave?" Longhang struck out with his palm, but the 5-element slave was already waiting for him. This palm strike was like hitting cotton, and had no effect at all. Whether Longao left or not, Longhang actually did not care. He only cared about one thing, and that was to use this opportunity to eliminate Long Di Tien. As long as Long Di Tien came down, he would become the new patriarch of the Long family. That was exactly the case. Longhang did not chase after Longao. Instead, he forced Long Di Tien to convene the elders' meeting. He was prepared to kick Long Di Tien out of the patriarch's seat and replace him as the new patriarch. Long family. 2 hours later, the elders' meeting, which had not been held for 3 years, was held without any warning. Ordinary elders could not participate in the elders' meeting. No one knew if Long Di Tien would win or if Longhang would lose in the competition. The next day, Long family spread the news that Longao and Longzong had left the Long family at the same time. From now on, Longao was no longer a disciple of the Long family. Once this news spread out, it completely shook the entire Sky Martial continent. If it was before, no one would care. But the situation was completely different now. Longao had broken into the Martial Artists Alliance by himself, killed over 50 of their disciples, and disappeared right under the noses of the 4 super experts. After the battle with the Martial Artists Alliance, Longao's name had spread across the continent. It could be said that there was no one who did not know about it. Furthermore, after the battle with the Martial Artists Alliance, not only did Longao establish the Dragon Sect, but he also formed an alliance with the Five Elements Sect. All of this made Longao even more famous. That was indeed the case. Longao had left his Long family, but the Long family did not react at all. This was not normal in itself. Was the Long family afraid of Longao? It seemed a little hard to believe, but nothing was absolute. If that was the case, then things would be much better. Many people were speculating about the matter between Longao and the Long family. Countless people wanted to see the chaos caused by Longao. The Dragon Sect and the Five Elements Sect had formed an alliance, and before anyone could react, the Dragon Sect had formed an alliance with the Sword Sect. This time, the Sky Martial continent was once again in an uproar. Who was Longao? It was hard for everyone to imagine that a small figure who had just risen could actually cause chaos among the super forces. If someone said that such a person did not have any background, they would not believe it even if they were beaten to death. With the help of the Sword Sect and the Five Elements Sect, the development of the Dragon Sect could be said to be at a rapid pace. In a short period of 10 days, the Dragon Sect had gone from a few thousand people to hundreds of thousands of people. However, Longao did not accept all of it. The reason was simple. The quality of the disciples was not the quantity. It was precisely because of this that Longao had to be strict in order to enter the Dragon Sect. Furthermore, the Dragon Sect was divided into 2 parts, the inner and outer sect. With so many people, it was impossible for all of them to be geniuses. Those without talent or those with questionable loyalty could all enter the outer sect. This did not mean that those who entered the outer sect would not have a chance to enter the inner sect. As long as their performance was good, they would have a chance to enter the inner sect. The Dragon Sect. 7th brother, Yi Dugu suddenly wants to see you. Isn't this a bit strange? The 3 of them already knew Yi Dugu's identity. That was especially true of Longao. According to Long Fu, this Yi Dugu was not a good person. If it weren't for Long Fu's warning, he would have already fallen for it. Why did Yi Dugu suddenly want to see him? Yi Dugu was the master of the Heaven and Earth Sect. As for the Heaven and Earth Sect, it was also one of the 10 great powers. There was no need to say much about its power and foundation. Everyone knew that the master of the Heaven and Earth Sect, Yi Dugu, was unfathomably powerful. He had not made a move in so many years, but he was still in the top 10 of the Heaven ranking. Of the things that Yi Dugu had done, there was one that had shaken the entire martial Heaven continent. That was because Yi Dugu had personally created the 99 steps of the Heavenly Stairway. Those who could reach the peak of the 99 steps of the Heavenly Stairway would receive great benefits. The 99 steps of the Heavenly Stairway were scattered throughout the martial Heaven continent. There was one in the 9 provinces continent. Back then, Longao had used the 99 steps of the Heavenly Stairway to condense his own power, causing his power to soar. I don't know, but I have to see Yi Dugu. No matter how shameless and despicable Yi Dugu was, Longao knew that he had to see the master of the Five Elements Sect. As long as Yi Dugu didn't take the initiative to become hostile, he wouldn't become hostile. After all, in this situation, it was best to avoid provoking a powerful enemy. 7th brother, since you know it's dangerous, don't go. Dugu Bai and Long Ying were very worried. The 2 of them knew that the reason the Dragon Sect could develop so quickly was all because of Longao. However, the price was extremely high. No one knew when Longao would die. After all, the people he would have to face were the peak experts of the martial Heaven continent. Longao was very clear about their worries. He smiled. Big brother Dugu, don't worry. Back in the 9 provinces continent, I personally climbed the 99 steps of the heavenly stairway and saw Yi Dugu's clone. He's not bad. This time, he might not be suspicious of me. Perhaps he wants to form an alliance with us. At that time, our dragon sect's development speed will continue to rise. Was that possible? It didn't matter if others believed it or not. In any case, the 2 of them didn't believe it. However, Longao's words had already reached this point. No matter how unwilling they were, they could only nod. 7th brother, I know we can't stop you, but you have to promise us one thing. No matter what happens, you have to return safely. When Grandpa Ruff handed you over to me, I didn't want anything to happen to you. Do you understand? Brother Long, your life and death concerns the life and death of the entire dragon sect. So even if it's not for yourself, you have to think of others. Longao nodded. It was just as Dugu Bai had said. His life and death also concerned the lives of many people, including his family and brothers. So he couldn't die. Author's note, copy of Chapter 5. Chapter 1182. Heaven and Earth Sect, one of the 10 directions. This time, Yi Dugu did not summon Longao at the base camp. The summoning method was very special. It was the 99 steps of the stairway to heaven. Ancient desolate town. In this place, there was no tripartite balance of power. There were only a few small powers, sects, and clans. The reason why Ancient Desolate Town appeared was because in the center of Ancient Desolate Town, there was a huge stairway. It was the 99 steps of the stairway to heaven. Every day, many people rushed to Ancient Desolate Town from all directions in order to climb the 99 steps of the stairway to heaven. Longao entered Ancient Desolate Town and directly came to the 99 steps of the stairway to heaven. He raised his head and looked over. At the top of the clouds, he still couldn't see the top of the stairway to heaven. Until now, Longao still found it hard to imagine how Yi Dugu did it. Not to mention the 99 steps of the stairway to heaven, just the 99 steps of the stairway to heaven was a very difficult thing to set up. He didn't want to find trouble, but trouble came knocking on his door. He didn't continue to dwell on it. Anyway, it had already happened. Longao knew very well that this matter couldn't be avoided no matter what. Since it had already happened, why not face it calmly? Thinking of this, Longao didn't continue to hesitate. He finally took a step forward and stepped onto the 99 steps of the stairway to heaven. Not to mention the current Longao, even when he was in the 9 provinces, Longao had already climbed to the top of the 99 steps of the stairway to heaven twice before he became a demigod. It was precisely because of this. Longao stepped onto the 99 steps of the stairway to heaven for the 3rd time. It could be said that he was familiar with it. In just a few minutes, he had already reached the top of the stairway to heaven. At the top of the stairway to heaven, there was a pavilion surrounded by white clouds. It was very beautiful. Senior Yi. There was almost no need to guess. Longao had already confirmed that the gentle and elegant middle-aged man in front of him was the sect master of Heaven and Earth sect, Yi Gudu. After all, they had already met before. Longao, please take a seat. It was very polite. Yi Gudu's attitude directly took a 180-degree turn. Longao knew very well why. Anyone could guess that there was something unusual about the alliance between the 5 Elements sect and the Sword sect. Longao did not stand on ceremony as he entered the pavilion and sat down. Longao, this is tea brewed with the finest snow lotus water. Have a taste. He nodded. Longao picked up the jade cup on the jade table and drank all the tea in the cup in one gulp. Even if he didn't understand the way of tea, Longao could still taste that this tea was extraordinary. Thank you, Senior. Longao could clearly feel that as the tea entered his body, it instantly flowed through his entire body. In just a few seconds, his cultivation had increased by a lot. A peak demigod of the 9th heaven. If he hadn't experienced it himself, Longao wouldn't have believed that there was such a godly item in this world. Just a cup of tea could raise one's cultivation level by 1 level in a few seconds. How terrifying was that? A cup of tea could raise one's cultivation level. If he drank 10 buckets of it, wouldn't he be able to break through to the Nirvana realm? Looking at Longao, Yi Gudu seemed to be able to see through Longao's thoughts. He smiled and said, "The snow lotus water is very useful for martial artists the first time they drink it. If it's the second time, it won't be of much use." "I see." No matter what, this time, in less than 10 minutes, he had already raised his cultivation level to the peak demigod of the 9th heaven. It was always an unexpected good thing. The peak demigod of the 9th heaven was only one step away from officially condensing the divine soul and breaking through to the divine realm. Although the difference between the demigod of the 9th heaven and the divine realm was only one level, the gap between the two was like heaven and earth. They couldn't be compared at all. Straight to the point. Longao asked, "Senior Yi, I wonder why you're looking for me this time?" "Longao, I already know everything about you." Longao didn't interrupt. Because with Yi Gudu's strength and identity, if he wanted to know about his matters, it was almost a matter of minutes. It was an easy matter. So what if he knew? "Longao, I won't ask much about your alliance with the 5 Elements sect and the Sword sect. I won't care too much." Hearing this, Longao cursed fiercely in his heart. His face also became slightly cold. Shameless. He had seen shameless people, but he had never seen such shameless people. What did the alliance with the 5 Elements sect and the Sword sect have to do with you? Could it be that Yi Gudu had nothing better to do? Yi Gudu laughed. "Longao, I don't mean anything else. I'm just curious. With your current situation, the 5 Elements sect and the Sword sect are actually willing to ally with you. Not only that, the Long family didn't do anything to you." Longao was very clear about the meaning of Yi Gudu's words. Not to mention Yi Gudu, even others would be very curious. Because according to normal circumstances, since he had left the Long family, with the strength and identity of the Long family and their stinginess, would they agree? Of course, Longao wouldn't tell Yi Gudu the truth. "Senior Yi, let's get straight to the point." Longao didn't want to continue dilly-dallying. He didn't believe that Yi Gudu had nothing better to do and invited him here just to drink a cup of tea. If that was really the case, Yi Gudu wouldn't be worthy of being the sect leader of the Heaven and Earth sect. Yi Gudu smiled, his face full of praise. He said, "I admire your courage and your talent. Longao, since that's the case, I'll also get straight to the point. This time, I've asked you here mainly for one thing." "What is it?" "Longao, do you know the divine mathematician?" "Divine mathematician? Divine mathematician again?" Longao hated this feeling because no matter what, it was as if everything was under the control of the divine mathematician. Everything was there, and no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get rid of it. This feeling was very unpleasant. At this moment, Longao felt like he was a chess piece controlled by the divine mathematician. He felt very helpless. The divine mathematician's strength was there for all to see. Not to mention him, even the heavenly Tao wouldn't dare to provoke the divine mathematician. This was the terrifying strength of the divine mathematician. "I've met senior divine mathematician a few times. Longao, in 3 days, the Heaven and Earth chessboard will begin. I hope you can participate." Heaven and Earth chessboard? What was that? "Senior Yi, I'd like to know if you have something to ask me this time, or is it senior divine mathematician's idea?" "You don't need to know about this. You only need to know that the Heaven and Earth chessboard will be of great help to your cultivation. I hope you can get a chance in it." Yi Gudu didn't want to say more, and Longao didn't ask more. However, he was almost certain that Yi Gudu had asked him to come here this time because of the divine mathematician. Otherwise, Yi Gudu wouldn't have come looking for him for no reason. P.S. Copy of Chapter 6. Chapter 1183. The Heaven and Earth Chessboard. Yi Gudu gave a general explanation of the Heaven and Earth chessboard. The Heaven and Earth chessboard used Heaven and Earth as a guide to form an independent space. In the entire martial Heaven continent, only the Heaven and Earth sect's disciples could enter it. For so many years, countless people dreamed of entering the Heaven and Earth chessboard, But the Heaven and Earth sect's power and foundation were there. Let alone ordinary people, even the other 9 superpowers didn't dare to casually enter the Heaven and Earth chessboard. 6 hours later, Longao left the top of the heavenly stairway. As soon as Longao left, the God Diviner appeared. If Longao was still here, it was unknown what he would think. Lord God Diviner. Even Yi Dugu immediately got up and bowed respectfully when he saw Master God Diviner. In the martial heaven continent, the 10 direction cauldrons weren't the peak existences. The 10 master chessboards weren't the strongest martial artists either. Perhaps ordinary people didn't know, but how could Yi Dugu not know? In this world, there were 2 strongest martial artists. One was the heavenly Daos, and the other was the God Diviner. As for the God Diviner, he was known as the #1 person on the martial heaven continent. Even the heavenly Daos couldn't contend against him. Satisfied, the God Diviner said indifferently, "You did well. Dugu, remember this. When Longao enters the Heaven and Earth chessboard, everyone will rely on their own ability. You're not allowed to help him." Yi Dugu didn't know what the God Diviner meant. For the God Diviner to help Longao like this, Yi Dugu had thought that the 2 of them had a very good relationship. He hadn't expected the God Diviner to not let him help. The God Diviner's actions completely confused Yi Dugu. "Dugu, the Heaven and Earth sect is my direct descendant, and you were raised by me. There are some things you should ask and some things you shouldn't ask. There are some things you should know and some things you shouldn't know. Do you understand?" Yes. How could Yi Dugu not understand? Yi Dugu didn't dare to say a single word. Whatever the God Diviner said, he would do it. After Longao enters the Heaven and Earth chessboard, you have to help the Dragon sect's development. Yes, sir. Yi Dugu heaved a long sigh of relief when he saw Master Godly Mathematician disappear into thin air. Longao did not return to the Dragon sect. After all, going from Ancient Desolate Town to the Dragon sect and then back to Ancient Desolate Town from the Dragon sect would take at least 5 days. Even if he used spatial teleportation, it would still take 2 days. But even so, Longao didn't do that. The reason was simple. 3 days later, he would enter the chessboard of Heaven and Earth. He knew nothing about the so-called chessboard of Heaven and Earth, so he had to focus on his cultivation, hoping that he would be able to find an opportunity in the chessboard of Heaven and Earth. He wrote a letter and sent it back to the Dragon sect as quickly as possible. Instead of leaving, Longao stayed in Ancient Desolate Town. One of the entrances to the Heaven and Earth chessboard was the Ancient Desolate Town. Aside from Yi Dugu, very few people in the Tianwu continent knew about this. The Ancient Desolate Town was not too big. The total population was no more than 300,000. It was not as prosperous as a big city. In Ancient Desolate Town, there were 10 great clans and 10 great sects. For 20 factions to enter Ancient Desolate Town at the same time, it was easy to imagine how chaotic it was. As Longao wandered around, he thought about all sorts of things, especially the godly mathematician, Yi Dugu, the 10 directional cauldrons, and the Heaven and Earth chessboard. Yi Dugu did not say it clearly this time. However, Longao was certain that Yi Dugu's request for him to enter the chessboard of Heaven and Earth definitely had something to do with the godly mathematician. Otherwise, given Yi Dugu's status, he would not casually meet him. According to Yi Dugu, the Heaven and Earth chessboard was a cultivation sage emperor. It was a forbidden land of the Heaven and Earth sect. Without Yi Dugu's orders, no matter who it was, even the Heaven and Earth sect's disciples, could casually enter the Heaven and Earth chessboard. Not to mention ordinary disciples, even inner sect disciples and core disciples could not casually enter the Heaven and Earth chessboard of Heaven and Earth. The more this was so, the graver Longao became. Longao had no understanding of the Heaven and Earth chessboard of Heaven and Earth. Once he entered, no one knew whether he would live or die. Big Brother Long, find a secluded place. I have something to tell you. Longao, who was aimlessly beating, suddenly heard Bai Ling's words. He was very curious because he knew very well that if there was nothing important, Bai Ling would not be so anxious. Longao did not hesitate at all and immediately found a very secluded place. Bai Ling, what's the matter? A white figure flashed and Bai Ling appeared in front of Longao. Big brother Long, my sister and I just sensed some kind of aura. What kind of aura? Big brother Long, come with us. Longao was very curious. He did not know what was going on with Bai Ling. What kind of aura did the two Genlings sense that made Bai Ling's expression so grave? Thinking about it, he knew that it was not as simple as it seemed. Longao did not continue asking. He followed Bai Ling's aura all the way to the east. About 30 meters, they arrived at a restaurant. Longao followed Bai Ling's instructions and disappeared from the restaurant. About 10,000 meters underground, there was a huge cave. The surroundings were dusky and there was a huge stone pit in the middle. It was incomparably huge and was filled with blood. Seeing the blood pool, Longao was shocked. He thought that he had encountered the remnant power of the blood pool again. However, after Long Fu's confirmation, the blood pool in front of him was not the remnant power of the blood pool in the Dragon Seal space. Longao more or less heaved a sigh of relief. He asked curiously, Bai Ling, what do you mean by this? Longao, your luck is pretty good. I don't know which super expert left such a bloodline here. As long as your God-punishing sword can absorb the bloodline here, I believe that breaking the seal should not be a problem. Breaking the seal? Not only that, if you absorb the bloodline, not only can you break the seal, but the power of the God-punishing sword will also increase by many times. It's really a good thing that fell from the sky. Longao did not have the slightest bit of joy. Instead, he was incomparably solemn. Xiling, Bai Ling, to be honest, the God-punishing sword and the blood pool are mutually reinforcing and restraining each other. Its strength is extremely terrifying. With my current strength, even if I break the seal and increase the power of the God-punishing sword, what can I do? I won't be able to control it. I might even suffer a backlash. I might as well not break the seal. Longao had already thought about it. When his strength reached a certain level and he could control the God-punishing sword, it wouldn't be too late to break the seal. Brother Long, I know what you mean. However, my sister and I have already discussed this matter. When you break the seal, my sister and I will help you. I believe that you will be able to control the God-punishing sword easily. The main thing is that the bloodline here is too important. P.S. Chapter 7 delivered. Chapter 1184. Bloodline. Seeing how serious Bai Ling was, Longao knew that the bloodline in front of him was not simple. Bai Ling, what's going on with the bloodline? Longao, since things have come to this point, we won't hide it from you. Xiling looked at Bai Ling. His meaning was clear. Bai Ling continued, Brother Long, the blood in this blood pool contains the blood of thousands of Nirvana mythical beasts. F***ck hearing Bai Ling's words, Longao was shocked. He looked at the blood pool in front of him in disbelief. Longao knew very well what the blood of thousands of Nirvana mythical beasts meant. One Nirvana mythical beast was equivalent to one Nirvana realm warrior. Thousands of Nirvana mythical beasts were equivalent to thousands of Nirvana realm warriors. Who could have such means? Not only that. Bai Ling's next words almost scared Longao to death. Brother Long, not only that, but the blood pool also contains the blood of 3 peak martial artists. He was completely dumbfounded. Peak martial artists, wouldn't they be able to fight against Tian Dao and the Oracle? Longao couldn't figure out how the blood of such super experts could enter the blood pool. According to Bai Ling's words, the blood in the blood pool was obviously deliberately put there by someone. Who could it be? How many people in the Tianwu continent could do this? Swallowing his saliva, Longao asked, Bai Ling, Xiling, what's going on? It's very simple. Longao, I believe you've already guessed that the blood in the blood pool is from 3 peak martial artists and thousands of Nirvana mythical beasts. As for who did this, I don't know. But I'm sure that this person is keeping the blood in captivity to refine a blood slave. Longao obviously knew about the blood slave that Xiling was talking about. A blood slave was similar to the soul slave that he refined. However, once the blood within the blood pool was refined into a blood thrall, it was an existence that soul thralls and corpse thralls couldn't compare to. The blood of 3 experts at the pinnacle of the martial way and the blood of thousands of nirvana divine beasts. Once it was refined, it was easy to imagine how terrifying the strength of the bloodslave would be. The blood in the blood pool is so strong. If it's absorbed by the deity slaying sword, wouldn't it be a waste? Bai Ling and Xiling knew what Longao meant. The 2 Genling lowered their heads and thought for a moment. Xiling continued, Longao, I know what you mean, but I'll be honest with you. The blood here is too soft. It's not suitable for you, and it's not suitable for us. Even if you and I devour the blood, it won't be of much use. So that was the case. Brother Long, my sister and I have thought about this. Once the deity-slaying sword absorbs the blood here, with our help, we can definitely break the seal and let you control the deity-slaying sword. Bai Ling looked at the blood pool beside her and continued, the power of the deity-slaying sword is comparable to mine. With Brother Long's demigod strength, once you control the deity-slaying sword, you can even kill an empty god easily. Longao couldn't resist such a temptation. What happened next was simple. Longao released the deity-slaying sword and placed it in the blood pool. Xiling and Bai Ling would do their best to help. Master, what Xiling and Bai Ling said is the best choice. Only after hearing Long Fu's words did Longao truly set his mind at ease. Master, once you can control the deity-slaying sword, it'll be beneficial to your cultivation and strength. If it's just the blood pool, even the blood of 3 experts at the pinnacle of the martial way won't work. He wanted to say something but stopped. Master, Xiling and Bai Ling are really good to you. This time, both of them used their Genling to help you. This way, the deity-slaying sword will be upgraded. Long Fu really didn't know what Longao was talking about. However, Longao didn't say much. He didn't disturb Xiling and Bai Ling at this time. He didn't say anything. He remembered the kindness that the 2 Genling had shown him. Master, I've successfully refined the blood-sucking broadswords. Here are 9 blood-sucking broadswords. As long as the 2 of them are willing to help, the 9 blood-sucking broadswords will absorb the blood. Even if they're not as powerful as the deity-slaying sword, I believe they'll still be powerful. Longao didn't make the decision on his own. After finding Xiling and Bai Ling, Longao went straight to the point and told them about the 9 blood-sucking broadswords. Xiling and Bai Ling didn't object. They only took out 1/10 of their blood for the 9 blood-sucking broadswords to absorb. Then, the 9 blood-sucking broadswords could also become Longao's trump card. In the cave, Longao sat at the side and cultivated quietly. On the other side, Xiling and Bai Ling helped Longao to absorb the blood to break the seal of the deity-slaying sword. Sky Martial Continent, Dragon Sect, 5 Elements Sect, and Sword Sect's alliance had already shaken the continent. However, what happened next made the Sky Martial Continent even more shaken. Heaven and Earth Sect, one of the 10 great factions. It was also the most mysterious faction among the 10 great factions. Under normal circumstances, the Heaven and Earth Sect wouldn't interfere in the continent's affairs. But even so, no one dared to provoke them, including the 9 superpowers. However, for some unknown reason, the mysterious Heaven and Earth Sect had suddenly come to the Dragon Sect's aid. Furthermore, they had gone all out to help the Dragon Sect establish their own power. Not only that, but the Heaven and Earth Sect had also been constantly sending in disciples to the Dragon Sect. The Dragon Sect's power was constantly growing. It had already surpassed a third-rate power and was steadily developing into a second-rate power. Dragon Sect, Main Hall. Dugu Bai and Long Ying's faces were extremely solemn. They did not feel the slightest bit of joy or surprise because of the rapid development of the Dragon Sect. That was because the 2 of them knew very well that there was no benefit in developing the Dragon Sect too quickly. Once the Heaven and Earth Sect failed one day, the Dragon Sect would be completely finished. Master, since things have already reached this point, we can only brace ourselves and continue. However, a second-rate power requires a supreme divine expert to oversee it. If the Heaven and Earth Sect becomes hostile, we'll be in a very passive position. Now that Brother Long isn't here, what should we do? Even Longao didn't know that Yi Gudu would suddenly come to the Dragon Sect's aid. Otherwise, he would have definitely rejected it. Long Ying said solemnly, "Seventh brother has already made it clear in his letter. He wants us to be wary of the heaven and earth sect. Therefore, we'll let nature take its course. Borrowing the heaven and earth sect's development isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, we have to be prepared. If the heaven and earth sect plays any tricks, we'll be prepared. At least we won't fall into an irrecoverable situation. Master, with the help of the Five Elements sect, Sword sect, and Heaven and Earth sect, the Martial Artists Alliance won't do anything to us for the time being." "Yes, but still, it's better to be safe than sorry. We can't let our guard down. In this world, we can't trust anyone." Dugu Bai and Long Ying looked at each other. Both of them could see a trace of determination in each other's eyes. "P.S. Thank you, brother. Dragon Feather's strong support." Chapter 8 delivered. Chapter 1185. Ancient desolate town. Within a huge cave. All the blood in the blood pool had been cleanly devoured by the god-slaying sword and the 9 flying daggers. Longao had a miraculous feeling. He didn't even need to try. He was almost certain that he could control the god-slaying sword. Holding the god-slaying sword, Longao felt like he had become incomparably powerful. This was the true god-slaying sword. "Big brother Long, we're a bit tired. We won't be able to help you for now. Longao, don't trouble us for the following matters if you can. Try not to trouble us." Looking at the weak Xiling and Bai Ling, Longao naturally knew what had happened. If his guess was right, Xiling and Bai Ling had not only used their core sword qi to help him, but they had also lost a great deal. After all, with the 2 Genling's strength, such a thing shouldn't have happened. Before Longao could say anything, Xiling and Bai Ling had already returned to the god-slaying sword. "Master, the power of the 9 blood-drinking flying daggers cannot be underestimated. They can be used as a trump card. Unless it is absolutely necessary, I hope Master will not use them recklessly." Longao nodded. Putting away the 9 blood-drinker flying daggers, Longao calculated the time and left the cave. Sometimes, when luck came, it couldn't be stopped. He had entered ancient desolate town to see Yi Dugu. But what had happened? Not only had he entered the chessboard, but he had also encountered the blood pool. The god-slaying sword and the 9 flying daggers had devoured the blood. Longao left the cave. 1 month later, Tiandao's figure suddenly appeared in the cave. He froze on the spot, looking at the blood pool in a daze. Who was it? He had spent countless years to obtain the blood. He had been just 1 year away from success. But now, all the blood in the blood pool had vanished. Tiandao had an urge to destroy the world. Who was it? Tiandao could only think of 2 people. At this time, the martial heaven continent only had 3 peak experts on the martial path. Other than him, there were only the God Diviner and Long Batian. Apart from the 2 of them, he could not figure out who was able to break the seal and devour the blood in the blood pool. The heavenly Tao did not care about the blood of thousands of nirvana divine beasts. With the strength of the heavenly Tao, not to mention thousands of nirvana divine beasts, even if there were tens of thousands of nirvana divine beasts, it would be a matter of minutes to kill them. What the heavenly Tao truly cared about was the blood of the 3 martial artists at the peak of martial arts. Suppressing the rage in its body, the heavenly Tao was like a volcano that was about to erupt, ready to erupt at any moment. Longao did not know that if it were not for Xiling and Bai Ling breaking the seal in advance, he would have been sensed by the heavenly axiom the moment he entered the cave, let alone devouring the blood to help the Godslayer sword. From this, it could be seen how terrifying were Xiling and Bai Ling's powers. However, the 2 Genling were no longer at their peak. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to fear the heavenly Tao. As for whether the 2 Genling had already guessed that the blood belonged to the heavenly Tao, no one knew. Outer Sea. Within the Crystal Palace, the heavenly Tao's figure appeared, its face filled with rage. Seeing the God Diviner, it got straight to the point. God Diviner, we have not interfered with each other. Why did you touch my things? Whether or not the God Diviner had already calculated that the blood had been devoured by Longao, only the God Diviner knew. The God Diviner was at a loss. What is the meaning of this, heavenly Tao? The God Diviner snorted coldly. If it weren't for the fact that it couldn't defeat the God Diviner, why would the heavenly Tao be so obedient? God Diviner, there's no need to act in front of me. You are the only one in the martial heaven continent who knows about what happened in ancient desolate town. Even Long Batian doesn't know about it. I just went there, and all the blood disappeared. In the entire martial heaven continent, only you can break the seal without me noticing. The heavenly Tao was certain that the God Diviner had done this. Thinking about it, the heavenly Tao couldn't think of a second person. Let alone an ordinary person, even Long Batian couldn't break the seal without anyone noticing. The heavenly Tao was well aware of Long Batian's power. The martial heaven continent only had 3 peak experts left. They were the God Diviner, Long Batian, and the heavenly Tao. In terms of power, the God Diviner was ranked first. Even if Long Batian and the heavenly Tao worked together, they might not be a match for him. Furthermore, the heavenly Tao's current accomplishments were all thanks to the God Diviner. Below the God Diviner, the heavenly Tao was ranked second, and Long Batian was ranked third. Heavenly Tao, I can clearly tell you that this wasn't done by me. If I had done it, I wouldn't have waited until now. Seeing the God Diviner's blank expression, the heavenly Tao finally calmed down. Just now, it had been blinded by its fury. Now that it thought about it, this matter was truly strange. If the God Diviner wanted it, he wouldn't have waited until now. Just who was it? No matter how it thought about it, it didn't have the slightest clue. For the blood, the heavenly Tao had spent countless amounts of time and taken countless risks. In the end, all he had done was become someone else's slave. How could the heavenly Tao swallow this anger? The heavenly Tao's true thoughts were very simple. When its cultivation base had broken through, it had thought that it would be able to defeat the God Diviner. In other words, if it had wanted to defeat the God Diviner, the blood had been the only way. It had been counting on devouring the blood to increase its power. Then it would be able to defeat the God Diviner and unify the martial heaven continent. With the blood gone, all its hopes had been extinguished. The heavenly Tao didn't know when it would be able to defeat the God Diviner. God Diviner, I won't waste words with you. I hope you can help me. Count it as me owing you a favor. Tell me. The God Diviner knew what was going on, but he feigned ignorance. He just didn't want to say it. When he had become the heavenly Tao, the God Diviner hadn't expected the heavenly Tao to be so ambitious. Now, he wished he could control the heavenly Tao. How could he possibly help it find the blood? It was just that the heavenly Tao was a bit confused. Otherwise, it wouldn't have done such a thing. Help me calculate who entered the cave and devoured my blood. The heavenly Tao was very anxious. If they found the culprit now, it would be too late. Once it was too late, even if they found the culprit, it would be useless. The God Diviner sneered inside, but he still nodded and began to put on an act of calculating. In the end, this matter was left unsettled. No matter how furious and unwilling the heavenly Tao was, there was nothing he could do about it. He wasn't the God Diviner, and he didn't have the divine divination Tao. It was impossible for him to calculate who had done this. In the end, he had been too careless. Otherwise, he wouldn't have ended up in such a situation. He had worked so hard to do this, but it had ended up benefiting someone else. Chapter 1186. Outside ancient desolate town. On a barren mountain not too far away from ancient desolate town, Yi Dugu and Longao stood halfway up the barren mountain. The entrance to the heaven and earth chessboard was here. According to Yi Dugu, no one from the heaven and earth sect entered the heaven and earth chessboard this time. In other words, he was the only one who entered the heaven and earth chessboard. Longao, I can't tell you the situation inside the heaven and earth chessboard, but it's still the same. The heaven and earth chessboard is for cultivating the Holy Emperor. After you enter, whether you can get the opportunity depends on your luck and fortune. He nodded. Longao already understood what Yi Dugu meant. Senior Yi, thank you very much this time. Yi Dugu smiled. Yi Dugu always had the expression of a bitch hiding a knife in a smile, which made Longao's balls hurt. However, Longao was very afraid of Yi Dugu, because the Heaven and Earth sect was the most mysterious and the most powerful sect. From this, it could be seen what kind of person Yi Dugu was. He did not continue to talk nonsense. Yi Dugu had already opened the entrance of the Heaven and Earth chessboard. Longao stepped in, and his body disappeared without a trace. His face was a little ugly. This time, in order to let Longao enter the Heaven and Earth chessboard, no one from the Heaven and Earth sect entered. It was obviously a lie to say that he was happy. He sighed deeply in his heart. The God Diviner was right there. Even if he was extremely displeased, he could only swallow his displeasure. Stepping into the entrance, Longao's body disappeared. White light shrouded and flashed. In the next second, Longao had already appeared in another space. Looking at the strange environment around him, he knew very well that this was the so-called Heaven and Earth chessboard. Until now, Longao still did not understand what the Heaven and Earth chessboard was. Hey. At this time, there was a sinister and terrifying laughter all around. It was like a ghost in the darkness. It made one's hair stand on end. Catcher sounds could be heard all around. Longao was very fearful and did not know what was going on. He did not dare to be careless. Although Yi Dugu said that there were opportunities everywhere in the Heaven and Earth chessboard and that it was also a holy land for cultivation, the situation inside the Heaven and Earth chessboard could not be determined by Yi Dugu's words alone. What you hear is false, but what you see is true. Without waiting for Longao to react, countless black shadows had already appeared in the surroundings, floating here and there like ghosts. Apart from letting out sinister laughter, the terrifying black energy also started to wildly attack. Wave after wave, it was like a meteor shower as it crazily smashed towards Longao. Godslaying sword. Ever since the Godslayer sword devoured the blood, Longao had not used the Godslayer sword. He did not know how powerful the Godslayer sword was. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Inside the Heaven and Earth chessboard, there was no one around. Even if he used the deity vanquishing sword, he believed that no one would notice. Using all the strength in his body, Longao split the sword into 4 swords. North, south, east, west. The sword chi had already shot out. The sword chi that was 100 feet long seemed to be piercing through the 9 heavens as it ruthlessly shot out in all directions. The sword chi seemed to be the nemesis of the black ghosts as it kept devouring them. The black ghosts around him disappeared. Longao looked at the Godslayer sword in his hand and was a little surprised. He had never expected the Godslayer sword to be so powerful after devouring blood. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, it would have been hard to believe. With the black ghosts as an example, Longao did not dare to let his guard down. He moved forward carefully and with 120% concentration, he walked slowly. Inside the Heaven and Earth chessboard, it was dark everywhere. Long Fu, can you sense anything? The Heaven and Earth chessboard was too big. Longao did a rough calculation. If he wanted to finish the Heaven and Earth chessboard, it would take at least a year. Master, this Heaven and Earth chessboard is very strange. I just released my aura and it was all blocked back. Hearing this, Longao was surprised. If even Long Fu could not release his aura, it seemed like this Heaven and Earth chessboard was indeed very strange. If that were the case, he would be a little worried. As for Yi Dugu, Longao could not figure out whether he was a friend or foe. If Yi Dugu were to dig a hole for him to jump into, wouldn't he be walking right into the trap by entering the Heaven and Earth chessboard? He was a little helpless. No matter what happened, he had already entered the Heaven and Earth chessboard. If he wanted to get out now, it would be difficult. Seemed like he had to take it one step at a time. Master, the sword chi that you released with the help of the Godslayer sword was enough to help you. Nodding his head. As for Long Fu's meaning, Longao had a rough idea. If he were to use his own strength to get rid of the black ghosts, it would be difficult. But the Godslayer sword was just a matter of a single sword. Rumble. Rumble. Boom. 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 All of a sudden, thunder boomed across the Heaven and Earth. In the blink of an eye, the 9 heavens were filled with dark clouds. Thunderbolts as thick as tree trunks struck down crazily. Not only that, endless flames appeared on the ground, blazing like a volcano. Thunder from the 9 heavens, volcano of 10,000 feet. Longao was a little surprised. He had yet to see any opportunities in the heaven and earth chessboard, but he had already encountered countless dangers. Not daring to be careless, Longao immediately released his chi shield to defend against the attacks of the godly thunder and flames. The double attack was something that even Longao could not handle. If this were to carry on, he would be devoured by the godly thunder and flames sooner or later. Something like that must never happen. Dodging the attacks of the godly thunder continuously, Longao channeled the 5 elements heaven-devouring manual and barely managed to defend against the volcano that had suddenly appeared on the ground. Longao's Tao of the 5 elements could be considered as a small success. But he did not have the 5 elements body. Otherwise, the power of the flames on the ground would not be able to hurt him at all. Eventually, without any other choice, Longao could only enter the dragon seal space. Because the power of the heaven and earth was way too horrifying, Longao could not handle the double attack of the thunder and flames. Within the dragon seal space. Long Fu, do you have any ideas? Long Fu naturally knew what his master meant. After thinking for a while, he said, "Master, the heaven and earth chessboard should be formed by the heaven and earth. It's hard to imagine what kind of super expert could create such a space. Unbelievable, unbelievable." Listening to Long Fu's lamentation, Longao was depressed. "Master, the thunder and flames are the power of the heaven and earth. If you want to break them, you have to use explosion to counter explosion." "Long Fu, I understand what you mean. But it seems difficult for me to use the power of the heaven and earth." If it was aura suppression, Longao still had a way. Because he had the aura of the heaven and earth, and he could condense the aura of the heaven and earth. Even if the aura of the heaven and earth descended, he could forcibly resist it. Only the power of the heaven and earth was a little troublesome. Author's note, Chapter 10, Delivery. Wash up and go to bed. It's 4:30. It'll be 5 when I sleep. Tomorrow, I'll sleep in. Good night, everyone. Chapter 1187. Forcefully using the power of heaven and earth was not an easy thing to do. Master, Xiling and Bai Ling have a way. How could Longao not know what Long Fu meant? However, Longao was not willing to continue disturbing Xiling and Bai Ling. The reason was simple. Previously, in order to help the god-punishing sword swallow the blood, Xiling and Bai Ling had used their source energy. The two of them did not say much, but Longao was very clear that the two of them had suffered a great loss this time. One had to be kind. There was no other way. After entering the chessboard of heaven and earth, he could not stay in the dragon seal space forever. Leaving the dragon seal space. Thunder from the 9 heavens and flames from the ground. Even if Longao borrowed the power of teleportation, he still found it extremely difficult. It was difficult to move an inch. Longao was very clear that he could not continue like this. Otherwise, wouldn't he be trapped here for the rest of his life? If he was not careful, he would be killed by the dual attack of the thunder and flames. Before Longao could think of a way to deal with the dual attack, 2 primal chaos stone tablets appeared. They crazily expanded and instantly became heaven-piercing tablets. 5 elements primal chaos stone tablet, devouring the primal chaos stone tablet. Towards these 2 primal chaos stone tablets, Longao had always been very careful. Because once the 2 primal chaos stone tablets collided with each other, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao was very shocked. Because ever since his Dantian had transformed and become a primal chaos Dantian, he had already begun to refine the 2 primal chaos stone tablets. Since that was the case, why would the 2 primal chaos stone tablets appear out of nowhere? Longao did not know what the 2 primal chaos stone tablets meant. He did not dare to act rashly. As he dodged the dual attack, he tried to sense the 2 primal chaos stone tablets, trying to absorb them into his Dantian. At this time, 5 elements primal chaos stone tablets, devouring the primal chaos stone tablets. One left and one right, they surrounded Longao tightly. Whether it was the thunder from the 9 heavens or the flames from the ground, they were all devoured by the 2 primal chaos stone tablets. In a short few seconds, the thunder and flames were completely devoured. Surprise and solemnity. Longao was pleasantly surprised that the dual attack of thunder and flame had disappeared. But he was also surprised that the 2 chaos stone tablets had left his dantian. Whether or not he could take them back was still unknown. It was a headache. Longao could only quietly stand there. Ever since his chaos dantian had transformed, even if the 2 chaos stone tablets appeared, they wouldn't lock onto him. This could be considered a blessing in disguise. Master, the 2 primal chaos stone steelies are currently merging. Long Fu, what is the meaning of this? Longao had a premonition that the 2 primal chaos stone tablets leaving his dantian seemed to be a good thing and not a bad thing. It was just as Long Fu had said. The 5 elements primal chaos stone tablet and the devouring primal chaos stone tablet didn't fight as expected. Instead, they spun around each other, faster and faster. After a few seconds, the 2 primal chaos stone tablets could no longer be seen clearly. All that could be seen were 2 afterimages. Long Fu, the 2 chaos stone tablets won't fuse together, right? He didn't know if he should be surprised or helpless. I don't know. Even Long Fu didn't know if the 2 primal chaos stone tablets would fuse or what the result would be. The primal chaos stone tablets were the most powerful divine artifacts in the world. Even Long Fu didn't understand the primal chaos stone tablets. He didn't know. Longao stared fixedly at the afterimages in front of him. The 2 primal chaos stone tablets spun faster and faster. An hour later, just as Longao had guessed, the 5 elements primal chaos stone tablet and the devouring primal chaos stone tablet actually began to fuse together. He was a little stunned. A little shocked. Longao was very clear in his heart what the 2 primal chaos stone tablets fusing together meant. It had to be known that in the world, there were a total of 12 primal chaos stone tablets. Every single one of them was an incomparably powerful divine artifact. According to what Long Fu and the others had said, no matter who it was, as long as they could obtain one of the primal chaos stone tablets, they could become one of the most powerful warriors in the world. This sort of temptation, no matter who it was, even the Tao of the heavens was unable to resist. As for simultaneously obtaining 2 primal chaos stone tablets, from ancient times until now, aside from Longao, no one had ever been able to do this. All this time, Longao was extremely worried. If he were to obtain 2 primal chaos stone tablets at the same time, once the 2 primal chaos stone tablets collided with each other, the consequences would be unimaginable. At this moment, the 2 primal chaos stone tablets fusing. He didn't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. But since things had already reached this stage, he could only take it one step at a time. He hoped that it wouldn't have too much of an impact. Big Brother Long, the 2 primal chaos stone tablets have already fused. Hurry up and use your dantian to devour them. Otherwise, the 2 primal chaos stone tablets will automatically leave. Hearing Bai Ling's words, Longao wavered. If he left the 2 primal chaos stone tablets behind, it would always be a danger. But the legends of the primal chaos stone tablets were still there. If he were to let the 2 primal chaos stone tablets leave just like that, Longao was truly unwilling. Devour. Or not to devour? Longao's mind rapidly pondered. After pondering for a while, in the end, Longao still chose to devour the primal chaos stone tablets. Without danger, there would be no opportunities. If he were to choose to give up, he would definitely regret it in the future. Without any hesitation, Longao took a step forward. He had already arrived in front of the 2 primal chaos stone tablets. Without any hesitation, Longao borrowed the power of his primal chaos dantian and directly began to devour the 2 primal chaos stone tablets. Before this, Longao's primal chaos dantian had already begun to gradually refine the 2 primal chaos stone tablets. Because of this, it was relatively easy for the current Longao to forcefully devour them. If anyone else wanted to forcefully devour the 2 primal chaos stone tablets, not only would they not be able to do so, they might even be devoured by the 2 primal chaos stone tablets instead. As the 2 primal chaos stone tablets fused, Longao continued to devour the 2 primal chaos stone tablets. The surroundings were dim and the world had already returned to normal. The chessboard of heaven and earth has begun. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out between the heavens and earth. No one knew who had spoken. Hearing the voice, Longao was taken aback. He had never expected that the heaven and earth chessboard had just been activated. In other words, the danger that he had encountered earlier was just an appetizer. A bit solemn. The black ghosts and double attacks were already so powerful. If the true chessboard of heaven and earth began, wouldn't the danger be even greater? He wasn't distracted. In any case, he had already entered the chessboard of heaven and earth. What he had to face was what he had to face. Right now, the most important thing was to first deal with the 2 primal chaos stone tablets. Longao also began to panic. This was because the longer he delayed, the less benefit it would be for him. No one knew whether or not he would succeed in devouring the 2 primal chaos stone tablets. Originally, there were 2 primal chaos stone tablets. But after dozens of minutes of fusing, the 2 primal chaos stone tablets had already fused into a single primal chaos stone tablet. One represented devouring and the other represented the 5 elements. After fusing, Longao didn't know whether this was a good thing or a bad thing. Chapter 1188. The merged tablet was filled with 2 different elemental powers. Longao didn't dare to be careless as he swallowed the tablet with all his might. As the strongest god artifact in the world, anyone who could obtain the tablet would become one of the strongest martial artists in the world. Would Longao give up such a chance so easily? No matter how dangerous the tablet was, Longao wouldn't give up. Brother Long, try to connect to your Dantian. How could Longao not know what Bai Ling meant? Although he still didn't know what the Chaos Dantian was, Longao knew that the Chaos Dantian could refine 2 Chaos Stone tablets. If he wanted to swallow and fuse with the Chaos Stone tablets, he could only rely on the Chaos Dantian. Longao tried to connect to his Dantian. As expected, his chaotic Dantian released traces of mysterious power, enveloping the Chaos Stone tablet within. With a su sound, the tablet had already disappeared. He was delighted. The tablet didn't leave and was swallowed by Longao into his Dantian. As for whether or not the Dantian could refine the tablet, that was a matter for the future. He would take it one step at a time. Longao stood there quietly and looked around. There was a mysterious voice that said that the heaven and earth chessboard had opened, but there was no movement at all. He didn't dare to act rashly. At that moment, Longao didn't know what was going on with the heaven and earth chessboard opening. He could only do nothing. The heaven and earth changed and a huge black whirlpool appeared. In front of the black whirlpool, 4 huge golden words appeared. It was the heaven and earth chessboard. Without guessing, Longao knew that he hadn't truly entered the heaven and earth chessboard. What a pain in the ass. Things had already reached such a stage. Was he going to give up just like that? It was impossible. Longao wanted to see the heaven and earth chessboard. To be able to become the forbidden ground of the heaven and earth sect and for a saint emperor to cultivate, the heaven and earth chessboard was definitely extraordinary. Longao didn't think much. He stepped out and disappeared into the black whirlpool. In the next second, Longao's body appeared in a mysterious plane. Before Longao could react, he was attacked from all sides. The beast that attacked Longao was a very strange spirit beast. It was the size of a tiger and its entire body was very fat. The most terrifying thing was that the spirit beast's entire body was covered with eyes that were flashing blood red. There were thousands of strange spirit beasts in the surroundings. At a glance, they were densely packed. Roar! Furious roars sounded out as all of the mysterious spirit beasts simultaneously attacked. These spirit beasts' attacks were quite strange, and they used their eyes to attack, releasing blood-red rays of light. Longao did not dare to be careless. He immediately circulated the energy in his body and set up a barrier around his body, trying to block the terrifying creature's attack. Kai kai, kai kai. As soon as the blood-red light touched the chi shield, a sizzling sound was heard. Then, Longao's expression changed greatly. Corrode and devour. He had not expected that the blood-red light released by the terrifying creatures would have the ability to corrode and devour. A single terrifying creature might not be much, but thousands of them attacking at the same time was way too scary. The blood-red light covered the entire sky, covering the entire space. Looking over, the blood-red light was like a gigantic spider web. Longao was very clear in his heart that if this situation continued, his chi cover would be swallowed and corroded by the blood-red light sooner or later. He didn't continue to stay. With the help of teleportation, Longao's body disappeared with a whoosh. Longao was clear about the power of teleportation. He had thought that he could teleport away. But what happened? The attack range of thousands of terrifying creatures was way too big. With Longao's current teleportation range, there was no way he could escape from the attack range. After being swept by the blood-red light, Longao endured the pain in his body and continued to teleport. Disappeared. Looking at the disappearance of their target, all of the terrifying creatures stopped attacking. They looked left and right, trying to locate their target. The terrifying creatures had eyes all over the place. They could see everything in 360 degrees. Thousands of meters away, behind a huge rock. Longao let out a long sigh of relief. What a terrifying creature. Although he could not sense its strength, its attack was not to be underestimated. Fortunately, he had teleportation. Otherwise, it was unknown whether he could leave safely. At this time, Longao finally had time to observe the so-called chessboard of heaven and earth. The surroundings were dark, like a huge dye vat. Everywhere was filled with a corrosive smell, giving people a very uncomfortable feeling. Longao did not dare to breathe in too much of the surrounding air. This air was similar to the air of the terrifying creatures. Not only was it mysterious, but it was also corrosive. If he absorbed too much of it, it would be harmful to his body. The sky was gloomy. There was no sun, no clouds, only endless darkness. Because of this, the whole world was dark. If an ordinary warrior or ordinary person entered this place, they would find it difficult to move. It was like day and night. However, Longao was not worried at all. As a ninth heaven demigod, Longao could see very far. In his eyes, there was no difference between day and night. Such a harsh environment was not a place for people to stay. Longao frowned slightly. With a dignified face, he said, "What is this place?" Long Fu did not know who he was asking. It was Xiling who answered, "Longao, the creatures you encountered just now are almost extinct. I don't know why they are here, but you have to be careful. This place is very strange." Nodding, Longao knew that this place was not simple. Looking at the terrifying creatures in the distance, looking everywhere for him, even he could not help but shudder. There were eyes everywhere on each of the terrifying creatures. Not daring to stay any longer, Longao prepared to leave in another direction. It was fine if he did not turn around, but when he did, Longao was startled. Behind Longao stood a terrifying creature that was more than 6 meters tall. It was a meatball with eyes all over its body. It was almost identical to the creature that had attacked him just now. The only difference was that this terrifying creature was much taller than ordinary creatures. Its eyes were also much bigger. Being stared at, Longao felt that something was wrong all over his body. Longao had an intuition that the creature in front of him had already locked onto him. As long as he moved, he would definitely be attacked by the other party. Chapter 1189. The terrifying creature's strength was too terrifying. Longao didn't dare to move. The terrifying creature stared at him, and the eyes all over his body flickered with blood-red light. Countless pairs of eyes stared at him, giving him a very uncomfortable feeling. What kind of creature was this? Longao didn't move, and the terrifying creature didn't move either. "You stare at me, I stare at you." Huh! At this time, Longao found that things were getting more and more wrong because the terrifying creature in front of him still didn't make a move after such a long time. "Brother Long, stand still. As long as you don't move, he can't see you." "I see. Bai Ling, what the hell is this?" Until now, Longao still couldn't figure out the origin of this terrifying creature. It was full of eyes but couldn't see anything still. It was exactly the same as a frog. Brother Long, this creature doesn't belong to this world at all. It has been extinct for many years. I didn't expect it. Bai Ling thought for a moment and continued, this creature is called a demonic eye. The light it emits has the ability to devour and corrode. Moreover, this creature likes to live in groups. Once it launches an attack, it will attack continuously. It's very difficult to resist. Demonic eye. What a strange name. Longao had just witnessed the strength of the demonic eye with his own eyes. If it was a one-on-one fight, he had full confidence. However, if it was a one-on-one fight, Longao knew very well that he wouldn't be able to resist for 3 minutes. Especially the demonic eye in front of him, its strength was above all the other demonic eyes. Longao even had a feeling that the huge demonic eye in front of him could kill him in an instant. Brother Long, the demonic eye in front of you, if I'm not mistaken, should be the emperor of the demonic eye clan. Its strength is very terrifying and should have reached the peak of the Nirvana realm. Longao was shocked. Longao knew very well what the peak of the Nirvana realm meant. The emperor of the demonic eye clan, Longao was helpless to the extreme. Could it be that he had to stand still all the time? Just as Longao was about to use teleportation to leave. Brother Long, you can't. Bai Ling, what's wrong? Big Brother Long, the demonic eye can't see living things, but it can sense any aura fluctuations. If you teleport away and the demonic eye locates you, you'll be in big trouble. He felt very helpless in his heart. Since that was the case, he could only continue to stand still. Time trickled by. In the blink of an eye, 20 hours had passed. The demonic eye stared at him and harumphed. Countless eyes lit up, and then it turned around and slowly left. Looking at the gradually disappearing figure, Longao finally breathed a sigh of relief. The chessboard of heaven and earth, was this the so-called chessboard of heaven and earth? Until now, Longao still did not understand the meaning of the heaven and earth chessboard. According to Yi Dugu, the chessboard of heaven and earth was a forbidden area of the heaven and earth sect. It was also a holy land for cultivation. But what was the result? Not to mention the danger that he had encountered before, just the demon eye clan that he had just encountered, if it were not for Bai Ling's reminder, he believed that he would have been killed by the demon eye clan. For some reason, Longao had a feeling that the heaven and earth chessboard that he had entered this time was not that simple. Longao, try to release the power of the 7 stars pearl. 7 stars pearl? Longao was very surprised by Xiling's words. He did not know the meaning of taking out the 7 stars pearl at this time. Previously, he had entered the burning god domain and obtained the 7 stars pearl. According to Long Fu, with the 7 stars pearl, one could open 7 mysterious spaces and become a heaven and earth expert. As for the 7 desolation divine thrones, they were just decorations. The real treasure was the 7 stars pearl. Longao chose to believe in Xiling. He took out the 7 stars pearl and tried to release the power of the 7 stars pearl. Hey! Longao, although I don't know what is going on, I can tell you that you can't touch this place. Strictly speaking, with your current strength, it's not suitable for you to touch it. He nodded. Towards Xiling's meaning, Longao pretty much already understood. The 7 stars pearl could open 7 mysterious spaces. He had just released the power of the 7 stars pearl and tried to sense it. As expected, the space around him responded as soon as he released the power of the 7 stars pearl. What did this mean? Longao was not a fool. He had already guessed that the heaven and earth chessboard was the entrance to the 7 mysterious spaces. If that was the case, wouldn't it be perfect? He could use the 7 stars pearl to enter the 7 mysterious spaces. If he could increase his strength quickly, it might not be a bad thing. According to Violet Spirit, his strength was still insufficient, and he was not qualified to open the 7 mysterious spaces. Xiling seemed to be able to guess Longao's thoughts. He continued, Longao, I know that you want to open the mysterious spaces, but let me tell you, now is not the time. Moreover, the entrance here has been completely sealed. Even if you have the key, the 7 stars pearl, you can't open it. So that was it. Longao did not doubt Xiling's words. He asked, "In that case, I choose to give up." "Xiling, have you sensed anything about the heaven and earth chessboard here?" Longao still felt that there was something wrong with the heaven and earth chessboard, especially the appearance of the extinct Demon Eye clan. "Longao, you are usually very smart. Why didn't you think of it at this time?" Heaven and earth chessboard, 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 think about it. Chessboard. Longao stood there quietly, thinking about what Xiling had just said. The heaven and earth chessboard, from another point of view, was he not a chess piece? Not only him, but also the other people who entered the heaven and earth chessboard were all chess pieces. And the person who controlled the chess pieces was the heaven and earth sect, the so-called Yidugu. What bullsh *t holy land of cultivation? Everything was just a cover for the heaven and earth sect. Maybe the disciples of the heaven and earth sect could get some benefits here, but he might not. Outside the heaven and earth chessboard, the headquarters of the heaven and earth sect. In the center of the beautiful lake, there was a huge pavilion. Inside the pavilion, the master of the heaven and earth sect, Yidugu, was sitting face to face with the marvelous mathematician, drinking the so-called snow lotus water. "Master, Longao has entered the heaven and earth chessboard. Do you really want to change the pattern?" Yidugu was very curious. Since the marvelous mathematician valued Longao so much, why didn't he use the heaven and earth chessboard to help Longao break through quickly? Instead, he wanted to change the pattern. After all, these were two different concepts. Whether Longao could leave alive was still unknown. The marvelous mathematician smiled and said, "If I want, I can create another heaven's path in 3 years. But I won't do that. You just have to do as I say." Yidugu nodded. Since the marvelous mathematician did not want to say more, he did not dare to ask more. But he always felt that something was wrong. It seemed that the marvelous mathematician was scheming against Longao. Chapter 1190. 3 years to create another heavenly Tao. If others learned of this, they would probably be scared to death. Everyone knew that. The heavenly Tao was the ruler of the martial heaven continent. It was also a supreme expert that had reached the peak of the martial path. If anyone else said this, they would definitely be mocked. However, the person who said this was the God Diviner, a supreme expert whose strength surpassed the heavenly Tao. He had also reached the peak of the martial path. Yidugu didn't doubt it at all. He knew that the God Diviner could do it. In other words, whoever the God Diviner wanted to create would be the next heavenly Tao. "Dugu, you've followed me for so many years. I'll remember that." Yidugu didn't dare to say anything. He just listened quietly. "Once the matters of the martial heaven continent are resolved, I'll have you replace the heavenly Tao." Hearing that, Yidugu was delighted. "My lord, forgive me for speaking bluntly, but how should we deal with Longao?" Yidugu was no fool. He knew that the relationship between Longao and the God Diviner was not simple. Otherwise, the God Diviner wouldn't go through so much trouble for a mere Longao. But one had to know, Longao was just a puny little demigod martial artist. A demigod was just a joke. Let alone the God Diviner, even in his eyes, demigods were ant-like existences. As long as they wanted to, they could kill a demigod with a single glance. The God Diviner sneered. "Kill." Yidugu didn't feel the slightest displeasure. Instead, he was delighted. "My lord, what should I do now?" "Do as I told you before. Remember one thing. If Longao is able to leave the heaven and earth chessboard smoothly, you must do your best to help the dragon sect rise. It would be best if you can make the dragon sect become the new 10 tripod in the shortest time possible." That was easy to say, but it was incomparably difficult to do. The 10 directions tripod had existed for countless years. There had never been a time when the 10 directions tripod had changed. The heaven and earth gate was extremely powerful. If it was a one-on-one battle, the heaven and earth gate wouldn't fear anyone. However, to destroy one of the powers was not easy. Seeing that Yidugu did not speak, the heavenly Tao laughed. "Long family, Pill Alliance, Martial Artists Alliance, Myriad Beast Sect, Heaven and Earth Sect, 5 Elements Sect, Wanjan School, Sword Sect, Violet Thunder Sect, and Black Heaven Sect. The Violet Thunder Sect and Black Heaven Sect have no one to rely on. Let's make a move on them. He nodded. Yi Dugu was very clear that among the 10 major powers, the Violet Thunder Sect and Heavenly Mystic Sect were the weakest. Lord, if we help the Dragon Sect deal with the Violet Thunder Sect or the Black Sky Sect, the Heaven and Earth Sect's strength will be exposed. At that time, we will be in a passive position. Heaven and Earth Sect, try your best not to attack. Remember, you can only help, but you cannot attack personally. Yi Dugu already understood what the oracle meant. Half a month had passed since Longao entered the Heaven and Earth chessboard. During this period of time, although the Dragon Sect, the Five Elements Sect, and the Sword Sect were allied, the Five Elements Sect and the Sword Sect were of limited help to the Dragon Sect. They were practically allies in name only. Dugu Bai and Long Ying were very unhappy with such an alliance, but there was nothing they could do. Now that Longao was not here, the two of them could not talk to the Five Elements Sect and the Dragon Sect. As for the Heaven and Earth Sect, they were helping the Dragon Sect. Moreover, it was a substantial help. Everyone, including the Dragon Sect, was curious about the Heaven and Earth Sect's intentions. Under normal circumstances, with the status of the Heaven and Earth Sect, how could they lower themselves to help a rising Dragon Sect? But what was the result? One had to admit that with the help of the Heaven and Earth Sect, the Dragon Sect's development speed was much faster. In just half a month, the Dragon Sect had steadily surpassed the third-rate forces. However, it was still a distance away from the second-rate forces. No matter what the Heaven and Earth Sect's intentions were, Long Ying and Dugu Bai did not let go of any opportunity to use the Heaven and Earth Sect to develop the Dragon Sect. All along, the Martial Artists Alliance did not make a move. As for the reason, no one knew. Under normal circumstances, the Martial Artists Alliance would not let go of Longao when he broke into the Martial Artists Alliance alone and killed their disciples. Not only would they deal with Longao, but they would also deal with the Dragon Sect. If the Martial Artists Alliance did not know about the Dragon Sect, it would be fine. However, the Martial Artists Alliance knew about it. It would be strange if they did not make a move. The Martial Artists Alliance. In the main hall, the Martial Artists Alliance's leader, Tong Tiendi, and the 8 vice leaders, including Tang Hao and Shangguan Yi, were all seated. The 8 vice leaders' faces were extremely solemn. Each of them looked terrible. Ever since Longao broke into the Martial Artists Alliance alone, the Martial Artists Alliance's reputation had plummeted. Although their strength did not change, their reputation was more important than their strength. Leader, the Dragon Sect is not only allied with the Five Elements Sect and the Sword Sect, but also the Heaven and Earth Sect. If we don't make a move now, the longer we delay, the worse it will be for us. Shangguan Yi continued, Leader, Brother Ma is right. Longao's whereabouts are unknown, but the Dragon Sect has risen with the help of the Heaven and Earth Sect. We are now at odds with Longao. If we don't get rid of Longao, there will be endless trouble in the future. He nodded. Tong Tiendi was also a bit solemn. He did not expect the Heaven and Earth Sect to interfere in this matter. Moreover, the Five Elements Sect and the Sword Sect were watching from the side. Once the alliance made a move, no one knew what would happen. As the leader of the Martial Artists Alliance, no matter what he did, he had to consider the interests of the alliance first. Let's wait and see what the Five Elements Sect, the Sword Sect, and the Heaven and Earth Sect want. He was very depressed. Originally, he did not care about his relationship with Longao. He wanted to let Longao become the next leader of the alliance. However, until now, Tong Tiendi could not understand why things had developed to this point. Everything was because of Shangguan Yi. If it were not for Shangguan Yi's identity and strength, he believed that he would have killed Shangguan Yi long ago. Shangguan Yi was a living disaster. Seeing that the Alliance Master's face was very ugly, the 8 Vice Alliance Masters didn't dare to say anything. Each and every one of them sat quietly and watched the changes. To deal with a small dragon sect and Longao, they actually had to wait and see the changes. If this matter were to spread out, they would probably be laughed to death. Pass down my order. Keep a close watch on the dragon sect's every move, including the Heaven and Earth sect. I want to see what the Five Elements sect, the Sword sect, and the Heaven and Earth sect want to do. Do they want to deal with the Martial Artists Alliance? Page. The Martial Artists Alliance's strength might not be the strongest, but it had the most people. It was known as the leader of the 10 forces. The 8 deputy leaders did not dare to hesitate. They all stood up and nodded. One by one, they left the hall. Chapter 1191. Inside the Chessboard of Heaven and Earth. Since he had already entered the chessboard of Heaven and Earth, no matter what kind of danger he encountered, Longao was prepared to take the risk. In the dark space, there were small mounds everywhere. Longao slowly walked forward. Every 1,000 meters or so, he would encounter members of the Demon Eye clan. In other words, the entire space was filled with demon eyes. If they were all gathered together, who knew how many there would be? Longao was unwilling to fight head-on with the demon eyes. He only wanted to move forward and see what else was inside the chessboard of Heaven and Earth. However, Longao was surrounded by the demon eyes. Each of them stared at him. At the same time, thousands of demon eyes began to attack. Longao accidentally moved. After being discovered by the demon eyes, he directly received the fiercest attack. This time, Longao did not use teleportation to leave. The god-slaying sword in his hand slashed out. One sword after another, sword chi swept out. The sword chi was like a meteor, slashing fiercely on the demon eye. It withstood it forcefully. It was impossible for Longao to kill the demon eye with the power of one sword. At the very least, he would need more than 2 or even 3 swords. One could imagine how terrifying the defense of the demon eye was. The surrounding demonic eyes shot out crimson light that interweaved into a spider web. Squeak, squeak, at this moment, a huge demon eye descended. It was the emperor of the Demon Eye clan. He was in big trouble. He cursed in his heart. Longao knew very well that he could not delay the battle against the demon eye. Otherwise, the longer he delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Brother Long, try to use the 7-star pearl to deal with the demon eye. In an emergency, Longao could not care about anything else. Hearing Bai Ling's reminder, Longao took out the 7-star pearl from his chest and poured the energy in his body into it. The 7-star pearl spun and emitted 7 different colors of light. Longao had never seen 7 colors before. As expected. Just as Bai Ling had said, the 7-star bead released a bright light and set up a 7-colored barrier around Longao, forcing the demon eye outside. The demon eye seemed to be very wary of the 7-star bead. The demonic eyes in the surroundings did not dare to get close. The demonic eye ruler kept roaring furiously, and all the demonic eyes in the surroundings also roared. Their roars echoed in the entire space. There was not the slightest hint of surprise. Although they had forced the demonic eye away, it was still a little difficult to kill it. Longao didn't just sit there and wait for his death. Following the 7-colored light, Longao continued to unleash his sword chi. The sword chi carried a 7-colored radiance and scattered in all directions. Screams rang out one after another. Seeing that the sword chi fused with the 7-star bead's light was effective, Longao was overjoyed. He did not hesitate at all. Sword after sword, the sword chi was like a meteor shower. The surrounding demonic eyes all retreated in fear, but they did not leave. They all stared at the prey in front of them. Squeak, squeak. The demonic eye ruler seemed to be speaking, but Longao did not understand. He did not continue to attack and looked coldly at the demonic eye ruler in front of him. He did not know what the other party was saying. Big brother, the demonic eye ruler is asking who you are. Hearing Long Ming's voice, Longao was very surprised. He did not expect Long Ming to be able to understand the demonic eye ruler's words. This time, things would be much easier. When Long Ming appeared, Longao was pleasantly surprised. He did not expect Long Ming to be able to speak. He said, "Tell him that I accidentally entered this place." Long Ming began to talk to the demonic eye ruler. About 10 minutes later, Big brother, The Demonic Eye ruler said that this is the territory of the Demonic Eye clan. No matter who it is, as long as they trespass, they'll be killed without mercy. Longao had already guessed this. It would be a lie to say that he was not afraid. Big brother, the Demonic Eye ruler also said that as long as you hand over the bead in your hand, he'll let you go. Longao knew very well that the bead that the Demonic Eye ruler was talking about was the 7-star bead in his hand. If it was an ordinary item, in order to avoid any conflict with the Demonic Eye clan, he would give it up. However, the concept of the 7-star bead was different. After all, the 7-star bead could open 7 mysterious spaces, which was very important to him. He would rather fight than hand over the 7-star bead. Big brother, what are you going to do now? You go back first, leave the rest to me. The strength of the Demonic Eye clan was there. One more Long Ming would not help at all. Anyway, it was a fight. Longao had already thought about it. If he could not defeat the Demonic Eye clan and the Demonic Eye ruler, then he would enter the Dragon Seal space. In this way, even if the Demonic Eye clan had great strength, they would not be able to find him. Longao did not continue to talk nonsense and was ready to take the initiative to attack. Anyway, there was a way to retreat, so he did not have to worry too much. However, at this moment, the entire ground suddenly began to tremble violently, as if there was an earthquake. The faces of all the members of the Demonic Eye clan changed drastically, as if they had seen a ghost. Including the Demonic Eye ruler, all of them turned around and left. In a short while, all the members of the Demonic Eye clan, including the Demonic Eye ruler, had disappeared without a trace. What was going on? Longao had no idea what had happened, but he was not a fool. The Demonic Eye clan, including the Demonic Eye ruler, had all disappeared. For them to be so afraid, there must be something important. Longao did not plan to stay any longer. No matter what happened, he would enter the Dragon Seal space first. Before Longao entered, he found that his connection with the Dragon Seal space had been forcibly cut off. This was troublesome. After all, the Dragon Seal space was his final trump card. If he could not enter the Dragon Seal space, not to mention the future, just the Demonic Eye clan would be the biggest problem. The ground trembled more and more, and cracks began to appear on the ground. Each crack was a few feet long, which looked very terrifying. Ha ha ha, I'm King hungry again. Demonic Eye clan, I'm coming. Hearing the sudden sound, Longao was shocked. He looked at the huge crater in front of him that was smashed open. A huge figure shot out from the crater. It was like a small mountain. He had no idea what it was. Cat? Dragon? Pig? Tiger? What was this thing? It didn't look like a monster. Looking at the monster in front of him, Longao was a little dumbfounded. In front of Longao, there was a huge creature. It had a strange appearance and a fat body. It looked like a cat, a dragon, a pig, and a tiger. He couldn't say what it looked like. Hungry? Want to eat the Demonic Eye clan? Hearing the words of the odd creature, Longao swallowed his saliva fiercely. This mother**** was a little too terrifying. What did the Demon Eye clan represent? He was very clear in his heart. However, just now, the Demon Eye clan, including the Demon Eye Emperor, had all disappeared in fear. This in itself already explained who the odd creature in front of him was. Chapter 1192. Ha ha ha, Demon Eye clan, do you think you can escape? The odd creature laughed maniacally. Its laughter was filled with endless madness. The demon eyes that had not escaped in time looked at the odd creature that suddenly appeared in front of them in horror. Each of them was like a mouse that had seen a cat. Some of the demon eyes even began to tremble in fear. All of a sudden, the odd creature suddenly opened its mouth. It was unknown if it did not open its mouth, but when it did, it was shocked. Longao had never seen such a big mouth. When it opened, it was 7 to 8 meters tall, even taller than the body of the odd creature. The odd creature did not move its body. Countless demon eyes began to crazily rush toward the odd creature. Strictly speaking, they were rushing into the odd creature's big mouth. This kind of strength was a little too terrifying. Countless demon eyes and countless eyes flashed with fear. They did not have the slightest resistance. Longao did not move because the odd creature's target was not him. Bai Ling, what is this? Longao was very curious because he could not communicate with Long Fu, but he could sense Bai Ling and Xiling. As for the reason, he believed that it was inseparable from the odd creature in front of him. Brother Long, this creature is called the Tyrant Beast. It is the nemesis of the demon eyes. It is powerful and talented. As expected. In fact, Longao had already guessed that the odd creature that just appeared must be the nemesis of the demon eyes. Otherwise, the Tyrant Beast would not be able to devour the demon eyes around it so easily. Even the Demon Eye Emperor was so afraid of the Tyrant Beast. One could imagine how terrifying the Tyrant Beast's strength was. Bai Ling, will the Tyrant Beast attack me? This was the question that Longao was most concerned about. As for whether the Tyrant Beast would attack the demon eyes, it had nothing to do with him. Brother Long, the Tyrant Beast is the same as the giant dragon. They both like to sleep, even more than the Dragon Clan. However, the Tyrant Beast will wake up every once in a while and eat. The Tyrant Beast's favorite food is the Demon Eye Clan. Longao did not speak. Bai Ling continued, if the Tyrant Beast is full, I believe it won't take the initiative to attack you. But if it's not full, then that's not necessarily the case. Bai Ling's meaning was simple, it all depended on luck. Who knew if the Overlord could eat its fill? Looking at the situation, the Tyrant Beast's appetite was huge. It had already devoured so many demon eyes, but it still wasn't enough. Longao felt extremely helpless. At this moment, he couldn't enter the Dragon Seal space due to the interference of the Overlord's space energy. If the Overlord were to attack him, the consequences would be unimaginable. Let's wait and see. In the distance, the Tyrant Beast opened its big mouth and continued to devour the Demon Eye Clan. It only stopped after a few minutes. The Tyrant Beast rubbed its stomach, looking very satisfied after eating. Longao had already guessed the strength of the Overlord Beast. According to Bai Ling, the Demon Eye Emperor was a Nirvana realm warrior. When it saw a Tyrant Beast, even the Demon Eye Emperor would flee. One could imagine how terrifying the Tyrant Beast's strength was. The surrounding demon eyes had all disappeared. Longao was shocked when his body was locked. He stared at the Tyrant Beast in front of him. In the next second, the Tyrant Beast slowly turned around. It had a strange expression on its face. It smiled and said, "Human, are you hungry? Do you want some too? F***ck me." Hearing the Tyrant Beast's words, Longao almost vomited. He really couldn't eat the demon eyes alive. Not to mention him, he believed that others couldn't do it either. It was too painful. Senior Tyrant Beast, you can do as you please. Don't worry about me. You know me. The Tyrant Beast seemed to be surprised. I've heard of you. After burping, the Tyrant Beast smiled and continued, "Human, your strength is too low. Why don't I help you?" If it was others who helped him, Longao would be very happy to accept. However, the Tyrant Beast was out of the question. Because until now, he still didn't know whether the huge creature in front of him was a friend or foe. Thank you, Senior. The path of cultivation is to progress step by step. If I were to forcefully advance, it wouldn't do me any good. Rejected. I've been rejected. The Tyrant Beast became even more curious. Ordinary human warriors really couldn't resist such temptation. The Tyrant Beast's face was filled with admiration and curiosity. It said, neither servile nor overbearing. Not greedy. You're still a qualified human. Tell me, why did you come here? Longao didn't hide anything. He told the Tyrant Beast about the Heaven and Earth Gate and the Heaven and Earth chessboard. Because in Longao's opinion, there was no need to hide this matter. After listening, the Tyrant Beast nodded and said, "Bullshit Heaven and Earth chessboard. This is a place abandoned by people. There are all kinds of extinct creatures everywhere. The demon eyes you saw just now are the representatives of evil creatures. Once you go out, there will be consequences." The Tyrant Beast didn't finish its words, but the meaning of its words was very clear. Longao wasn't a fool. Of course, he could tell that the Demon Eye clan's strength was very terrifying. Especially the blood-red light that was released from its body, it was very powerful. If it was just one demon eye, he didn't need to pay attention to it. However, if thousands of demon eyes entered the Qianwu continent, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that blood would flow like a river. Therefore, no matter what, he couldn't let the Demon Eye clan enter the Qianwu continent. As for whether the Demon Eye clan could enter the Qianwu continent, it all depended on the Heaven and Earth Gate. If one day, Yi Dugu wasn't happy and opened the entrance to the Heaven and Earth chessboard, just imagine countless demon eyes crazily entering the Qianwu continent. Just thinking about it was terrifying. Why did the Heaven and Earth Gate hide here? Longao was almost certain that if other powers knew about this, they would definitely not be willing. After all, this place concerned the safety of the Qianwu continent. Longao wasn't a fool. Of course, he could guess that the Heaven and Earth Gate didn't have any good intentions by doing this. It seemed that this matter was a little fishy. Human, don't worry. As long as I'm here, the Demon Eye clan won't be able to leave this place. Although my appetite is very big, the Demon Eye clan's reproduction ability is too fast. It's so fast that even I can't do anything about it. If it wasn't for the fact that my clan members all died, I believe that these demon eyes wouldn't be enough for us to eat. According to what the Tyrant Beast said, didn't it mean that the Demon Eye clan was bad and the Tyrant Beast was good? It was indeed a little impossible for a Tyrant Beast to devour the entire Demon Eye clan. Longao was also a little serious. After all, he and his family belonged to the Qianwu continent. If the Demon Eye clan really entered the Qianwu continent, it wouldn't be of any benefit to him. It was better to be safe than sorry. If Yi Dugu insisted on opening the Heaven and Earth chessboard, he believed that even the Tyrant Beast wouldn't be able to do anything. What did Yi Dugu mean by letting him enter here? Chapter 1193. No matter how he thought about it, he couldn't figure it out. As for the Overlord Beast, it was hard to say whether it was good or bad. Longao definitely wouldn't choose to trust the Overlord Beast 100%. This meal is not bad. Take your time, I'm going to take a nap. Just as he finished speaking, the Overlord Beast's body disappeared. He believed that it had returned underground. At a glance, it was a mess. Just now, the Overlord Beast suddenly appeared and swallowed thousands of demon eyes. Longao still couldn't react to it. According to Yi Dugu, he would have to stay in the Heaven and Earth chessboard for a full month. Counting the time, it had only been less than 10 days since he entered the Heaven and Earth chessboard. In other words, he had to stay here for another 20 days. Bulsh *T cultivation Holy Land. Longao cursed in his heart. He still didn't know what Yi Dugu meant. He could only take one step at a time. He seemed to have calculated that the Overlord Beast would leave after eating. About an hour later, countless demon eyes appeared around him. One after another, they kept coming out. Here they come again. Longao already knew how powerful the demon eyes were. Now that the Overlord Beast wasn't around, how could he defend himself if the Demon Eye clan attacked him? The Overlord Beast disappeared. Longao prepared to enter the Dragon Seal space to hide for a while. But the result? For some reason, Longao realized that even if the Overlord Beast disappeared, he still couldn't enter the Dragon Seal space. Brother Long, you don't have to try anymore. The Demon Eye clan has already discovered your secret and interfered with the space fluctuation of the entire space. So, you can't enter the Dragon Seal space for the time being. So that was it. Since that was the case, Longao didn't continue to worry about whether he could enter the Dragon Seal space. He continued to move forward. No matter what, there were still 20 days before the entrance of the Heaven and Earth chessboard would reopen. At this time, even if he wanted to leave, he couldn't. Although the Demon Eye could only see moving things, Longao couldn't stay still. He just moved a little. The demon eyes all around rushed towards Longao. They chased and attacked at the same time. There were eyes all over the demon eye's body. The countless eyes of thousands of demon eyes attacked at the same time, emitting countless blood-red rays. Wave after wave, it was continuous. There was no head-on confrontation. Longao's speed was extremely fast. Due to the interference of the demon eye, not only was he unable to enter the dragon's seal space, even using teleportation was impossible. This time, as Longao flew forward, he used God-slaying sword to unleash sword beams, which were infused with the light of the seven-star pearl. He felt helpless. Longao knew that he wasn't a tyrant beast, so he couldn't directly devour the demon eye. Even if the seven-star pearl's radiance could destroy the demon eye, it would still require at least 2 swords of sword chi. Not only Longao, but Bai Ling and Xiling were also unleashing their sword chi to kill the demonic eyes around them. The huge mountain peak was filled with black rocks. Longao didn't hesitate in the slightest. With a single step, he entered the mountain peak. The pursuing demonic eyes stopped when they were about 100 meters away from the peak. Hey! Looking at the countless demonic eyes staring at him not far away, Longao was very curious. What was going on? Why didn't the demonic eyes continue to chase him? Were they afraid of the mountain peak? Turning around to look at the mountain peak in front of him, Longao was very curious. What was it that made the demonic eye clan stop in their tracks? The outside was blocked by the demonic eye clan. Even if he wanted to leave, it was a bit impossible. If that was the case, there was only one way, which was to continue forward and enter the mountain peak. There was no other way. Longao stepped into the mountain peak. Just as he stepped in, Longao's body trembled, and his expression changed slightly. What is this aura? Longao could clearly sense the terrifying aura coming from all around. Just by absorbing a little bit of it, his internal organs started to churn. It was as if thousands of soldiers and horses were rolling over. Longao, leave this place quickly. Hearing Xiling's anxious voice, Longao had already guessed that the mountain peak was definitely not simple. Otherwise, with Xiling's strength and identity, if there was no emergency, he believed that Xiling would not act so easily. Longao would not stay any longer. He turned around and was ready to leave. But what was the result? When he turned around, he found that the aura fluctuation was getting stronger and stronger. The aura was suppressing him. He was startled. Without hesitation, Longao immediately released the sword momentum that had merged with the aura of heaven and earth to resist the suppression of the terrifying aura. According to what Longao knew, in this world, the aura of heaven and earth that he possessed was the most powerful aura. As the saying went, the aura of heaven and earth was condensed, and Nirvana Reborn was fixed. Unless it was an expert at the peak of martial arts, otherwise, what kind of aura could suppress the aura of heaven and earth? No. Before Xiling could finish his words, Longao was directly suppressed by the aura and fell to his knees, bleeding from his 7 orifices. If it were not for the sacred body of desolation, Longao believed that at this moment, Longao would have died. Longao really could not figure out what kind of aura could forcibly suppress his sword momentum. Crack, crack. In just a few seconds, several of Longao's ribs had been directly crushed. If it continued at this speed, he believed that within a few minutes, Longao would be directly crushed to death by the aura. At this moment, Longao finally understood why the Demon Eye clan did not dare to enter the mountain peak easily. Just this powerful aura alone was enough to make him unable to resist it. What on earth had happened? What kind of junior dares to break into my forbidden area? Hearing the majestic voice coming from all around, Longao was very surprised. He raised his head and looked around. Resisting the bursts of pain in his body, he said, Longao accidentally broke into this place. I did not know that it was Senior's forbidden area. Please show yourself. You want to see me? After a pause, the majestic voice continued to sound. If you can pass this level, I will see you. As soon as the voice fell, the aura around him became even more violent. Wave after wave, such an attack of aura would have killed an ordinary person. Even Longao was gradually unable to resist it. Just as Longao was unable to resist it, 2 figures appeared around him. One was purple, and the other was white. It was Xiling and Bai Ling. As soon as the 2 Genling appeared, without any hesitation, they immediately turned into sword shadows and surrounded Longao. The two sword shadows began to rotate. Gradually, the sword shadows formed a sword aura shield. Slightly relieved, Longao did not hesitate and immediately began to repair the broken ribs that were just crushed by the aura. As a ninth heaven demigod, it was almost a matter of minutes to repair broken ribs. As for the mysterious aura around him, it was a little troublesome. Even the aura of heaven and earth could not resist it. Longao could not think of a way to break through the aura suppression. Chapter 1194. Until now, Longao still did not know where the aura that suppressed him came from. Brother Long, this is the aura of the rules. You have to be careful. Aura of the rules? What was that? Longao did not know what it was at all, but he knew one thing, and that was that the aura around him was something that even he could not fight against. Longao, my sister, and I will help you now. Get ready. Since things had already come to this point, Longao did not have much nonsense to say. At this moment, Xiling and Bai Ling slashed across, and two sword chi slashed out, breaking the so-called aura of the rules. In the next second, Longao's body disappeared without a trace. In the huge cave. In the dark cave, one could not see the end of it. Longao did not dare to act rashly, because according to Xiling and Bai Ling, the original body that released the aura came from this cave. Toward this mysterious powerhouse, Longao was very fearful. Senior. Are you a disciple of the Long family? He did not know if the other party was a friend or foe, but since the other party knew about the Long family, he should know about the situation in Tianwu continent. Without hiding anything, Longao said, Senior, I am no longer a member of the Long family. I established the dragon sect myself, and it has nothing to do with the Long family. Longao was betting that the mysterious old man in the cave had nothing to do with the Long family. Ha ha ha, good courage. I am very curious. You dare to leave the Long family and establish the dragon sect. Aren't you afraid that the Long family will find trouble with you? Next. Longao roughly recounted the matter between him and the Long clan in full detail. After listening, the mysterious expert was silent. All of a sudden, the entire cave lit up. Looking at the scene in front of him, Longao was dumbfounded. He didn't know what was going on. In the depths of the cave, there were 8 iron chains as thick as tree trunks on the stone wall. These 8 chains locked an old man. His face was unkempt, and his clothes were coarse and tattered. His body even emitted a faint stench. Senior. Ha ha ha, did my appearance scare you? Nodding his head, Longao asked somewhat helplessly, Senior, were you harmed by a traitor? At the mention of this, the disheveled old man sighed deeply. Your talent is not bad. Being able to come here alive already shows your potential. Without waiting for Longao to speak, the disheveled old man continued to ask, Kid, tell me, why did you enter this place? To tell the truth. To tell you the truth, it was Yi Gudu who arranged for me to enter the heaven and earth chessboard. Traitor. Hearing the old man's words, Longao's heart skipped a beat, but he didn't say anything. The entire cave instantly became silent. Longao and the disheveled old man didn't say anything. Time passed slowly. Unknowingly, an hour had passed. Kid, do you know my relationship with Yi Gudu? I don't know. If you don't say it, how would I know? In the following time, the disheveled old man began to chatter. It was unknown if he was talking to Longao or himself. So, the disheveled old man in the cave was none other than Yi Gudu's father, Yi Xian. He was also the previous sect leader of the Heaven and Earth sect. Yi Xian was powerful and ranked in the top 3 of the Heaven ranking. From the beginning to the end, Yi Xian had no intention of passing the Heaven and Earth sect leader to Yi Gudu. It was also because of this that Yi Gudu started to harbor hatred in his heart. One day, Yi Gudu killed his own brother, secretly cultivated a peerless cultivation technique, and even sneak attacked his own father. According to Yi Gudu's talent, it was almost impossible for him to reach his current height. However, Yi Gudu directly swallowed 90% of his father's strength. After so many years of refining, Yi Gudu's cultivation finally reached this height. If his talent wasn't enough, he would use his father's strength to make up for it. Not only that, Yi Gudu killed his own father, and after swallowing Yi Xian's strength, he locked his father here. Perhaps it was because he had a conscience, or perhaps he hadn't exterminated the world, so he didn't directly kill his father. After hearing this, Longao was also incomparably furious. He didn't expect that there would be such a beast in this world. No, this kind of person was even worse than a beast. Without even guessing, Longao had already guessed that the disheveled old man in front of him was the so-called previous sect leader of the Heaven and Earth sect, Yi Gudu's father, Yi Xian. His strength was even above Yi Gudu's. It was hard to imagine how strong Yi Xian was. Longao, according to what you said, this beast let you enter here not to help you, but to harm you. He nodded. In fact, in Longao's heart, he still didn't know what Yi Gudu meant, because Yi Gudu had already said before that this matter, the divine mathematician had also interfered in this matter. Moreover, if Yi Gudu really wanted to deal with him, why would he do so? This was completely King taking off his pants to fart. However, Longao knew that if what the disheveled old man said was true, then Yi Gudu was indeed not human. He was vicious and merciless, even being able to harm his elder brother and father. This in itself already explained everything. Senior, what do you want me to do? Kid, you and I are fated. I hope you can help me clean up the sect. If you agree, I can give you something. Heaven and Earth sect's previous sect leader gave him something. It was obvious what kind of treasure it was. Senior, I believe you should be clear about my strength. Not to mention now, even 100 years later, I might not be a match for Yi Gudu. Even if I want to help Senior, I don't have the strength. This was the truth. Regardless of Yi Gudu's talent, at this moment, Yi Gudu's strength was absolutely terrifying. He was one of the top 10 figures in the Heaven ranking. Whether he could defeat him in the future was still unknown. Longao wouldn't casually agree to something that he wasn't sure of. Moreover, what Yi Gudu meant was still unknown. Provoking Yi Gudu for an old man he didn't know, let alone himself, he believed that no one would agree to it. As if he could see through Longao's thoughts, the disheveled old man wasn't angry at all, because this kind of thinking was something that everyone would have. Moreover, after waiting for so many years, he finally met a talented person. It would be a pity to kill him. Kid, you're only a 9th heaven demigod now. If you reach the level of a beast, you might not be able to do it even after 100 years. However, I have something to give you. As long as you get it, I believe it will be beneficial for your cultivation. Do you know why this beast hasn't killed me for so many years? Chapter 1195. Could it be for something like this? Longao was not an idiot. Of course, he could understand the meaning behind the old man's words. As expected. Once you slowly refine this bottle of Heaven and Earth Snow Lotus water, I can guarantee that your future achievements will definitely surpass that bastard. Since things had already come to this point, Longao knew very well that even if he didn't agree, he had to agree. It seemed that he couldn't avoid this trouble. Since that's the case, Senior, I'll do my best. Just as he finished speaking, a small bottle appeared in Longao's hand. It was filled with a light blue liquid. He believed that it was the Heaven and Earth Snow Lotus water that Yi Xian had just mentioned. Go, I hope you don't go back on your word. Before Longao could react, Longao's body had already disappeared. After an unknown period of time. Bastard. Ha ha ha, old man, as long as you hand over the Heaven and Earth Snow Lotus water, I'll let you go. Yi Dugu's figure suddenly appeared in the cave, coldly looking at his father in front of him. Bastard, bastard. Yi Xian couldn't help but roar in anger when he saw his son. He could use his aura to suppress Longao, but he couldn't deal with Yi Dugu. After all, Yi Dugu's strength was there for all to see. If Yi Xian was at his peak, not to mention 1 Yi Dugu, even 10 Yi Dugus wouldn't be a match for Yi Xian. Yi Xian, back then, you blindly nurtured Big Brother, regardless of my life or death. So what if your talent is poor? The current me can be ranked in the top 5 of the Heaven ranking. One day, I will surpass your achievements. Shameless. Yi Xian was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. He wanted nothing more than to go up and tear this bastard into pieces. Yi Xian, I have plenty of time. Wait here slowly. If you don't hand over the snow lotus water, I won't let you off. Yi Xian roared crazily as he looked at the beast that had disappeared. Standing outside the mountain peak, Longao did not immediately leave because there were countless blood-red eyes flickering not too far away. They were densely packed, and there were demonic eyes everywhere. Originally, he thought that the demonic eye clan had already left, but he did not expect that the demonic eye clan still had not left. It seemed that the intelligence of this creature was not inferior to that of humans, but it had a weakness. Including the demonic eye emperor, none of them could see still things or creatures. What should he do? Now that he couldn't enter the dragon seal space and couldn't use spatial teleportation, it wasn't a simple matter to smoothly leave. Longao, you're in big trouble. What's going on? Before Longao could ask, in the next second, his expression suddenly changed. He hurriedly dodged, but he was still swept by it. In the next second, before Longao could react, his entire body was sucked out. In less than half a minute, he was already 100 meters away from the mountain peak. What kind of concept was that? Looking at the two huge demonic eyes in front of him, Longao was shocked, because he never thought that there would only be one demonic eye emperor before, but now there were two demonic eye emperors. Longao could even say with certainty that the strength of the demonic eye emperor that had just appeared far surpassed the demonic eye emperor from before. Surrounded by countless demonic eyes, Longao knew that it was impossible for him to leave. Shameless human, you actually dare to collude with the tyrant beast to deal with my demonic eye clan. Today, I will swallow you alive. Hearing the words of the demonic eye emperor, Longao was helpless to the extreme. When did he collude with the tyrant beast? Thinking about it, he felt relieved. Longao already knew that the reason why the demonic eye emperor said that was definitely because he saw him talking to the tyrant beast. This was going to be troublesome. Seeing that the target did not speak, the demonic eye emperor roared, and the countless demonic eyes around began to attack wildly. Rays of blood-red light crisscrossed around Longao. One ray of blood-red light might not be able to kill Longao, 2 rays of blood-red light might not be able to kill Longao, but what about 3, 4, or countless rays of blood-red light? Longao did not dare to be careless. When he released the light of the 7 stars pearl, the god-slaying sword in his hand had already slashed out fiercely. Emperor Dragon's 9 kills, Thunder 36 styles. With the dual fusion, Longao's sword aura was also very terrifying. At this moment, Longao was also going all out. But even so, Longao could not fight against 10,000 alone. Boom! In an instant, the 2 demonic eye emperors attacked from the left and right. If they were to fight head-on, Longao would not be hit in one move. Again, with the sacred body of desolation, unless it was a heaven-defying attack, it would not be easy to kill Longao. Take advantage of the victory to pursue. The 2 demonic eye emperors were very fast. As soon as they succeeded in their attack, they immediately arrived in front of Longao. Without giving Longao a chance to get up, the 2 demonic eye emperors attacked again. Longao was a little helpless because at this time, there seemed to be no other way except to defend. However, in the next second, a white light flashed, and Bai Ling's figure suddenly appeared. "Sister, you're back." Longao, quickly asked Bai Ling to come back. Although he did not know why Xiling was so anxious, Longao still hurriedly shouted, "Bai Ling, come back quickly. The demonic eyes overlooking and devouring power was our nemesis just now." If Bai Ling was at her peak, she would definitely ignore the 2 demonic eye emperors, but now, Xiling did not continue, but the meaning in his words was very clear. Longao already understood that no matter what happened, he could not let anything happen to Bai Ling. However, Bai Ling did not return. Instead, she continued to fight with the 2 demonic eye emperors as usual. Just as Xiling had said, the demonic eye emperor's overlooking and devouring power was Bai Ling's nemesis. With Bai Ling's current injuries and strength, it was impossible for her to kill the 2 demonic eye emperors. With a flip, Longao rushed toward Bai Ling, but he was surrounded by the demonic eyes that surged from all directions. Even if Longao did not care about his life, it was impossible for him to break through the layers of siege and rush to Bai Ling's side. What should I do? Longao was completely anxious. Before Longao could rush over, Xiling had already appeared, but it was too late. The two demonic eye emperors laughed crazily as if they had obtained something good. Ha ha ha, we're really King lucky. The two demonic eye emperors knew very well that if they could devour Genling, their strength would skyrocket. Because of this, the two demonic eye emperors did not give each other any chance. They attacked Bai Ling from the left and right. While Bai Ling was busy, they attacked her fiercely. Bai Ling's body flew backward like a kite with a broken string, heading toward Longao. However, at this time, Longao did not have time to react. Xiling rushed forward and caught Bai Ling. Chapter 1196. Longao, Snow Lotus Water. If it was an ordinary person who asked Longao for the Snow Lotus Water, Longao might not give it to them. No matter what. According to Yi Xian, the Snow Lotus Water was a treasure of heaven and earth. Once refined, one's cultivation would completely surpass Yidugu's. One could imagine how terrifying the Snow Lotus Water was. However, since Bai Ling needed it, Longao didn't hesitate at all. He took out the Snow Lotus Water and threw it towards Xiling. Then, Longao's entire body made a choice. At this moment, Longao was going all out, pouring all the strength in his body into this sword. The sword chi scattered in all directions, and before the surrounding demon eyes could react, the sword chi had already killed hundreds of them. Even the two demon eye emperors didn't dare to fight head-on. Taking advantage of this time, Longao quickly came to Bai Ling's side, picked up Bai Ling, and shot into the distance with Xiling. This time, Longao used all his strength, and his speed was as fast as a gust of wind, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. The two demon eye emperors roared angrily. No matter what the reason was, the two demon eye emperors wouldn't give up so easily. Exactly. The two demon eye emperors led the demon eye clan and chased after Longao. The surroundings were surrounded by small mounds, so it was quite secluded. Looking at the doubtful Bai Ling lying on the ground with a pale face, Longao was a little scared and asked anxiously, "Xiling, how is Bai Ling?" "Silly girl, previously, in order to help you devour blood and forge the god-slaying sword, we damaged the origin sword chi. Under normal circumstances, my sister and I can't use the origin sword chi anymore, otherwise, it will damage our foundation." Hearing this, Longao's face became even more unsightly. Although he did not know what Xiling meant, Longao knew very well that Bai Ling's forceful use of the sword chi of origin was definitely not a good thing. Just now, Bai Ling consumed the Snow Lotus Water and managed to preserve her sword chi. Even so, she must recover as soon as possible. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. Xiling sounded very serious. "Xiling, how can we restore Bai Ling's sword energy of origin?" Violet Spirit's face was very gloomy, as ugly as it could get. Moreover, Xiling had a hesitant expression on his face as if he had something to say. "Xiling, hurry up and tell me." Looking at Xiling's expression, Longao was depressed. Things had already come to this point, but Xiling was still unwilling. "Longao, there's only one way to recover Bai Ling's sword essence." "What is it?" Bai Ling's face became paler and paler, and her body began to tremble slightly. Longao really did not know what to do. Longao had already thought about it. No matter what method, even if it took his own life, as long as it could recover Bai Ling's sword essence, he would not hesitate at all. "Longao, if I'm not mistaken, you should be from the Reincarnation clan." He nodded. Although he did not know what Xiling meant by this, there should be no doubt that he was from the Reincarnation clan. Longao did not know what the fact that he was from the Reincarnation clan had to do with the recovery of Bai Ling's sword essence. Could it be? Just as he expected. "Longao, I believe you've already guessed that the Reincarnation clan is one of the most powerful clans in the world. Since your bloodline can open the disc and even subdue it, it seems that your bloodline is very pure. Xiling, Get to the point. Again, as long as he could help Bai Ling recover her sword essence, no matter what happened, even if he had to absorb his own bloodline, he would not frown. In that case, I'll also get straight to the point. Bai Ling's life was at stake, and Xiling did not care about anything else. Longao, if you want to recover Bai Ling's sword essence, just absorbing your blood is not enough. After all, your blood is still sealed. Therefore, only if you and your sister can you be of greater help to Bai Ling today. Longao was no longer the spearhead boy in Redfire Town who knew nothing about the relationship between men and women. If it was under normal circumstances, Longao would definitely not agree. But now, Xiling made it sound so serious. If he did not help Bai Ling, he would never forgive himself in the future. Not to mention whether Bai Ling liked him or not, just because Bai Ling had saved him, he could not leave her in the lurch. Longao, I've already said so much. It's up to you whether you're willing to help or not. After saying that, Xiling's figure disappeared without a trace. Looking at the pale and unconscious Bai Ling, Longao did not continue to hesitate. Anyway, he liked Bai Ling very much, and Bai Ling liked him too. After this, he would treat Bai Ling well. As for Yu Yin and Aoshue, he could only take one step at a time. Next, Longao undressed Bai Ling and slowly pressed his body on top of hers. After a full 2 hours of fighting, the storm finally stopped. One had to admit that Longao's bloodline was very terrifying. Coupled with the combination, Bai Ling's sword chi was not only recovered, but also improved. Brother Long Bai Ling, I'll take responsibility for you. Longao did not know how to sweet talk. He only knew 6 simple words, I'll take responsibility for you. But for a woman, these 6 words were enough. Bai Ling nodded happily and disappeared into a white light, returning to the Godslayer sword. Inside the Godslayer sword, "Sister." Xiling smiled and said, "This is all I can do for you." But Bai Ling, since Longao came from the reincarnation tribe and has already obtained the key to open the reincarnation tribe, we can't miss this opportunity. You have to remember to keep this a secret. Don't let Longao know. Otherwise, all our efforts will be in vain. Bai Ling's expression was a little ugly. She said, "Sister, I can ignore other things, but I hope that you won't hurt Longao." Xiling was a little surprised. Because with Bai Ling's personality, she would never go against her wishes. But at this moment, she shook her head helplessly. From the beginning, Xiling had never intended to hurt Longao. "Don't worry, I only want to open the reincarnation tribe. As for Longao, no matter what happens, I won't hurt him." Hearing this, Bai Ling heaved a sigh of relief. Outside the Godslayer sword. Until now, Longao still had not reacted. He stared blankly in front of him. This incident came too suddenly. Although he had a good impression of Bai Ling, he did not expect things to develop to this stage. Including Bai Ling, Longao now had 3 close female friends. Yu Yin, Aoshue, and Bai Ling were the 3 most important people in his life. As for this union, not only Bai Ling, but even Longao also received unexpected benefits. P.S. Today, there will be 10 chapters. This is the 2nd chapter. Chapter 1197. This combination. Longao had actually condensed the origin sword chi as well. Under normal circumstances, this was something that was impossible to happen. However, this kind of sword chi of origin was different from Bai Ling's sword chi of origin. Unless he used his bloodline, the sword chi of origin was almost useless. But even so, Longao was also pleasantly surprised. Because he had condensed the sword chi of origin, his attainments in sword principle could be said to have reached a higher level. At this time, Longao sensed that there were suddenly countless auras surrounding him. It was the Demon Eye clan's army that was constantly besieging him. At this moment, Longao was very surprised because the Demon Eye clan could not see stationary creatures at all. In that case, he did not move or release his aura. How did the Demon Eye clan sense his existence? No matter what, the Demon Eye clan's strength was there. If he continued to stay, he would only be drowned by the Demon Eye clan's army. The Demon Eye clan was everywhere. At a glance, There were at least tens of thousands of Demon Eye clan members densely packed. Fighting force with force was definitely not going to work. How should he deal with it? Longao hid in the small mound and looked coldly at the Demon Eye clan that was slowly surrounding him. His face was getting more and more ugly. Weapon spirit. Suddenly, Longao suddenly thought of the Bloodpool weapon spirit, which was the so-called Little Mouse. Although he did not know whether the Little Mouse could defeat the Demon Eye clan, things had already come to this point. He had to try everything. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to survive the next 10 days. After summoning the Little Mouse, Longao conveyed the general idea to the other party. It kept nodding. Then, the Little Mouse directly scurried out. Its speed was so fast that even Longao was ashamed of his inferiority. Longao, the Bloodpool weapon spirit, is also the Demon Eye clan's nemesis. Hearing Xiling's voice, Longao was suddenly happy. It seemed that he had made the right bet this time. As expected. As Xiling said, the Little Mouse was very fast. Wherever it passed, the Demon Eye clan would become a dry skeleton. Such strength could be imagined. Longao, the reason why I didn't tell you before was that I was worried. What is it? Hearing Xiling's words, Longao had a bad feeling. The Bloodpool artifact spirit is still weak and hasn't even awakened yet. Once it continues to devour energy and awakens, it will be a blessing or a curse. No one can say for sure. So it was about this matter. For this matter, Longao had not thought about it. The Little Mouse was very obedient now, but what about after it awakened? Whether or not they would continue to listen to him was an unknown. As the saying goes, it's better to be safe than sorry. If the Bloodpool's artifact spirit really awakened and didn't listen to him, it would help the Bloodpool break the seal and leave the Dragon Seal space. At that time, it would really be troublesome. If it was anything else, Longao would have stopped him immediately. But now, once the Little Mouse was stopped from continuing to attack the Demon Eye clan, who would stop the Demon Eye clan? After thinking about it, Longao was still prepared to take the risk because he knew very well that even if the Little Mouse was the Bloodpool's artifact spirit, it would not be a simple matter for it to continue to grow stronger and awaken. In this way, the Bloodpool's artifact spirit kept shuttling back and forth among the Demon Eye clan. In just a few minutes, it had already devoured hundreds of Demon Eyes. At this speed, it would not take long for the Demon Eye clan to be completely devoured by the Little Mouse. The two Demon Eye Emperors did not seem to have expected this result, and their angry roars spread all around. In the next second, all the Demon Eyes retreated, and in a short while, they had retreated without a trace. Not even a single Demon Eye could be seen. The Little Mouse returned to the Dragon Seal space, and Longao breathed a sigh of relief. Calculating the time. There was less than half a month left before a month's time. If this was a holy land for cultivation, not to mention half a month, even if he stayed for a year, it would be fine. However, the problem now was that this was not a holy land for cultivation at all. If he continued to stay, there would be no benefits other than continuously fighting with the Demon Eye clan. This time, he had been tricked by Yi Dugu. That was exactly the case. Longao did not want to stay any longer, so he immediately turned around and shot in his original direction. At the entrance, he waited for half a month. When the entrance opened, Longao took a step, and his body disappeared from the so-called chessboard of heaven and earth. Not far from ancient desolate town. As soon as Longao appeared, Yi Gudu's laughter was already heard. Longao, congratulations on successfully passing through the chessboard of heaven and earth. Hey, your cultivation did not have the slightest breakthrough. Looking at Yi Dugu, who was smiling insincerely, Longao wanted to go up and slap him twice. He had seen shameless people, but he had never seen such shameless people. Yi Dugu's shamelessness had reached the extreme. However, Yi Gudu's strength and identity were there. Even if Longao was unhappy in his heart, he could only endure it. After all, a wise man does not fight when the odds are against him. Many thanks, Sect Master Yi. This time, when I entered the chessboard of heaven and earth, I did not obtain any fortuitous encounter. Hence, my cultivation did not improve at all. Yi Dugu pretended to be confused. Longao was speechless. He continued, "Sect Master Yi, if there is nothing else, I would like to take my leave first." Yi Dugu nodded. As he watched the gradually disappearing figure, his expression instantly turned cold. If not for the godly mathematician's interference, he would not have let Longao leave safely. As for Yi Xian's matter, Yi Dugu had never doubted it. In his opinion, it was impossible for Longao to enter the cave. "Milord." Sensing the fluctuations in the air, Yi Dugu immediately bowed respectfully. In the next second, the godly mathematician's figure appeared. Pa. Before Yi Dugu could react, a slap had already landed on his face. This slap stunned Yi Dugu. "Milord. You can't do anything, right?" Longao entered the secret realm this time and did not obtain anything. His cultivation did not improve in the slightest. So, what is the use of spending so much effort? The godly mathematician was angry. Yi Dugu was so scared that he did not dare to say a word. He stood trembling on the side. After all, this was all planned by the godly mathematician. But now, this matter was blamed on him. Who did he offend? Yi Dugu was very angry, but he did not dare to say anything. No matter how strong he was, in front of the godly mathematician, he was an ant-like existence. As long as the godly mathematician wanted to, he could kill him in a matter of minutes. From now on, you will do your best to help the dragon sect develop. Remember, the Heaven and Earth sect is not to make any substantial moves. As for Longao's matter, I will handle it. Also, the things I told you to do, hurry up and do them. If I delay, let alone becoming the next heaven's path, it is unknown whether you will be able to see the sun tomorrow." Startled, Yi Dugu replied in a trembling voice, "Milord, I understand. P.S. After sleeping in the afternoon, I woke up at 5. The 3rd chapter has been delivered. The remaining 7 chapters will be released in the evening. Starting today, the monthly votes will be doubled. That is, 1 vote is equivalent to 2 votes. If you have a monthly vote or a recommendation vote, give Little 9 a few chapters. Little 9 will explode." Chapter 1198. Dragon Peak. Dragon Sect Main Hall. Longao returned smoothly. Dugu Bai and Long Ying were pleasantly surprised, and also heaved a sigh of relief. Without the slightest hesitation, Dugu Bai immediately recounted everything that had happened in the dragon sect during this period of time in full detail. After listening, Longao sat quietly. In his mind, he was thinking about why Heaven and Earth sect did this. First, they brought him into the Heaven and Earth chessboard. Then, they helped Dragon Sect. Yi Dugu's actions seemed to be a little unusual. "7th brother, what should we do now?" "Big brother, we won't lose for now. Since Heaven and Earth sect wants to help us, we can use them to develop our power. Brother Long, although that's the case, our power is limited. The faster we develop, once Heaven and Earth sect leaves, we will be like a garden in the sky. We can collapse at any time." How could Longao not know what Dugu Bai meant? In the end, the sect didn't have a super expert. Otherwise, all the problems would be solved. Just relying on the divine Dragon Corpse slave to guard the sect wasn't a good idea. Longao didn't want to see a garden in the sky. Big brother Dugu, the sect's affairs will develop according to the current situation. I have to leave the sect for a while. Both of them nodded. Dugu Bai and Long Ying didn't ask why, nor did they ask anything else. Both of them knew that although they were the master and vice master of Dragon Sect, the real boss of Dragon Sect wasn't them. It was the young man in front of them. That was right. The two of them knew what to ask, what not to ask, when to ask, and when not to ask. Martial Artists Alliance. Imperial City. Longao's appearance changed slightly. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to recognize him at all. After entering the Imperial City, Longao entered a relatively secluded restaurant. An old man was sitting at a table by the window. It was none other than one of the 8 Vice Masters of the Martial Artists Alliance, Tang Hao. Vice Master Tang. Looking at the young man who had already sat down, Tang Hao sighed deeply in his heart. Longao's courage and talent were there. Such a talent, no matter which faction it was, would want to get it. But now, ever since Longao broke into the Martial Artists Alliance alone and killed one of their disciples, he had already become their sworn enemy. Even if he and the Alliance Master wanted to help him, they could only do so helplessly. No matter what, there were countless people watching from the sidelines. If they were biased, how would they explain it to the Alliance? Longao, given the current situation, you really shouldn't have come to an Emperor city. Longao didn't care about it. His expression was calm. I'll settle the grudge between me and the Martial Artists Alliance later. I'm here to ask you for a favor. He shook his head helplessly. In the past, Tang Hao would have agreed without hesitation. But now, if he agreed, how could he face the Martial Artists Alliance? No matter what, he was still the vice president of the Martial Artists Alliance. You can't do what you want. Without giving Longao any chance to speak, Tang Hao continued, Longao, you broke into the Alliance alone and killed one of their disciples. As the vice president of the Alliance, how could I face the millions of disciples of the Alliance if I stay so close to you? He didn't blame Tang Hao at all. Longao knew Tang Hao's difficulties. But this was a serious matter. He couldn't care less. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken the risk to come to an Emperor city. Now, the disciples of the Martial Artists Alliance wanted to tear him apart. If the other members of the Martial Artists Alliance knew that he came to an Emperor city, the consequences would be unimaginable. Vice President Tang, in this world, there are no eternal enemies. Similarly, there are no eternal friends. I did have some misunderstandings with the Martial Artists Alliance before, but it was all because of Shangguan Yi. This time, I'm here mainly because of the Outer Seas. Tang Hao, who was calm just a moment ago, suddenly changed his expression when he heard the words Outer Seas. Longao, what do you know? Just as expected. At first, Longao wasn't sure. But now, after seeing Tang Hao's expression, he was sure that not only Shangguan Yi, but also the Martial Artists Alliance were directly related to the Outer Seas. Actually, it wasn't hard to guess. Yang Jian, Wang Hao. I see. Longao, how did you know? With just Yang Jian and Wang Hao, isn't it a little too far-fetched? It's not hard to guess. Yang Jian and Wang Hao are both from the Outer Seas. They didn't go anywhere, but went to the Martial Artists Alliance. If you were me, what would you think? Longao didn't continue speaking. He stared at Tang Hao in front of him. Tang Hao's expression became more and more ugly. He didn't need to ask more. He was sure that Longao already knew about the Outer Seas. Now, they were in big trouble. Longao, sometimes, it's not good to know too much. Longao smiled. It seemed that he was right. I don't know about others, but I know that if the Martial Artists Alliance continues to attack me or my sect, I will leak the Outer Seas. Although I don't know why the Martial Artists Alliance is doing this, I'm sure that the Martial Artists Alliance doesn't want this to be leaked, right? Longao was very sure that the Outer Seas were definitely the secrets of the Martial Artists Alliance. Otherwise, Tang Hao's expression wouldn't have changed so suddenly when he mentioned the Outer Seas. Longao, since you already know about the Outer Seas, why are you looking for me? I don't care about the grudge between you and the Martial Artists Alliance. Since things were already so troublesome, Tang Hao didn't want to continue. However, Longao smiled and said, Vice Sect Leader Tang, you and I are friends. There's really no need to go to this extent. Previously, I just wanted to eliminate the root of the problem. Now, I'm here mainly to tell you that the grudge between me and the Martial Art Alliance has not reached the point of life and death. Tang Hao didn't say anything. Longao continued. Next, I'll settle the score with Shangguan Yi. Settle the score? Do you have the right to settle the score with me? At this moment, Shangguan Yi rushed into the restaurant with hundreds of people and surrounded the restaurant. At this moment, Shangguan Yi said coldly, Tang Hao, as the vice leader of the alliance, you betrayed us. How can you face the alliance? Longao wasn't surprised by Shangguan Yi's sudden appearance. After all, he was the one who asked someone to inform Shangguan Yi. However, Tang Hao couldn't explain himself. No matter what, he and Longao were sitting here alone. Anyone who saw them would think that he was a traitor. Shangguan Yi, don't talk nonsense here. Ha 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 ha. Hearing this, Shangguan Yi laughed crazily. P.S. Copy of Chapter 4. Chapter 1199. Tang Hao, the evidence is conclusive. Let's see how you will deny it this time. Ignoring Tang Hao, Shangguan Yi looked at Longao and said coldly, you really don't know what's good for you. Longao, do you really think that you are invincible? Outer Sea. Without the slightest bit of nonsense, Longao simply said 2 words, Outer Sea. Hearing the 2 words, Shangguan Yi's face suddenly changed. She stared at him. After a long time, Shangguan Yi waved her hand and hundreds of people behind her left one by one. In the restaurant. In addition to Longao, there were 2 deputy leaders, Tang Hao and Shangguan Yi. Longao, what do you mean by the Outer Sea that you mentioned earlier? Longao didn't say anything. He just looked at Tang Hao opposite him. His meaning was clear. Tang Hao shrugged helplessly. Tang Hao stood up and told Shangguan Yi what Longao had just said to him. After listening to the story, Shangguan Yi's face turned extremely cold. What happened in the Outer Sea was the Martial Arts Alliance's top secret. Other than the Alliance Master and the 8 Vice Alliance Masters, no one else knew anything about it. In this case, how did Longao know about it? Was it because of Yang Jian and Wang Hao? What a miscalculation. What a miscalculation. Wang Hao and the marvelous mathematician looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes. More than that, there was a desire to kill. Even Tang Hao would not hesitate to kill Longao in order to keep the secret. Longao, so what if you know about the Outer Sea? Since you are here today, don't leave. Is that so? Looking at the fearless Longao, no matter if it was Tang Hao or Shangguan Yi, their hearts were moved. Could it be that Longao had nothing to fear? The more Longao behaved like this, the more unsure the 2 of them were. They had already learned their lesson. Longao was forced to leave the Martial Artists Alliance under the watch of 4 super warriors. This in itself was enough to explain everything. The 2 of them knew very well that once this matter was spread out, the consequences would be unimaginable. What happened in the Outer Sea was the top secret of the Martial Artists Alliance. Do you want to kill me? Seeing that the 2 of them didn't say anything, Longao sneered and continued, I hope you can keep me here. Otherwise, I won't keep this a secret. I trust that in a day, the entire Martial Heaven continent will know about the Outer Seas and the Martial Artists Alliance. Longao, come with me. Hearing the sudden voice, Longao smiled. This time, he didn't come to the Imperial City to see Tang Hao or Shangguan Yi. He came to see the chief of the Martial Artists Alliance, Tong Tiandi. Shangguan Yi, I will come back to find you. Seeing that Longao had disappeared, Shangguan Yi's face became colder and colder. Tang Hao, I don't care what your relationship with Longao is. He has seriously affected our alliance. If you continue to protect him, I can't help you. All of you, come with me. Hearing the chief's words, Tang Hao and Shangguan Yi didn't dare to stay any longer. They all disappeared from the restaurant. In the main hall of the Martial Artists Alliance. Except for Tong Tiandi and Longao, the 8 deputy chiefs were all present. Longao, you already know what happened in the Outer Sea? Looking at the fearless Longao, Tong Tiandi and the 8 deputy chiefs didn't choose to act rashly. As they said, if Longao left successfully, the consequences would be unimaginable. What happened in the Outer Sea was the Martial Artists Alliance's top secret. If it was leaked, it would greatly affect the Martial Artists Alliance. Because of this, neither Tong Tiandi nor the 8 deputy chiefs dared to act rashly. If they failed to kill Longao, it was another matter whether they could kill him or not. What happened in the Outer Sea couldn't be leaked. Chief, although I already know what happened in the Outer Sea, I don't want to ask about it. I don't want to get involved. Without waiting for anyone to speak, Longao continued. The grudge between me and the Martial Artists Alliance is all because of Yang Jian and Wang Hao. If it weren't for Shangguan Yi forcing me time and time again, I wouldn't have started the war. I believe that no one has any objections to this, right? Shangguan Yi seemed to want to say something, but Tong Tiendi stopped him. Continue. Chief, let's forget about our grudge. In your dreams, Longao. Who do you think you are? How dare you bargain here? Shangguan Yi, don't be so shameless. I'm not here to negotiate with you. You're not the chief. Enough. Before Shangguan Yi could say anything, Tong Tiendi seemed to be angry. His gloomy voice scared Shangguan Yi into silence. Although he was the deputy chief of the Martial Artists Alliance, his status and strength were not as good as Tong Tiendi's. If Tong Tiendi wanted to, he could punish him at any time. From now on, none of you are allowed to speak. Anyone who disobeys will be killed. It seemed that Tong Tiendi was really angry. What I mean is very simple. Let's forget about our grudge. As for what happened in the outer sea, I won't mention a word. As for whether you're willing to do so, it's up to you. Longao knew very well that he and his sect were no match for the Martial Artists Alliance. If he was alone, he would fight. If he couldn't win, he could just leave. But now, he had a sect behind him. As the saying goes, a monk can run away, but the temple can't run with him. He couldn't stop his sect from developing. That was why Longao took the risk to come here. Tong Tiendi didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at Longao in front of him and said with a smile, "For so many years, no one has dared to behave atrociously in the Martial Artists Alliance. Longao, no matter what the reason is, you're the first. I admire your courage. Thank you for the compliment. You're right. The secret of the outer sea can't be leaked. I can let bygones be bygones. But Longao, you have to give me an answer. Otherwise, I won't be able to answer to the Martial Artists Alliance. Moreover, how can the Martial Artists Alliance establish itself in the mainland? What do you want, Chief? It's very simple. You have to announce to the world that you're officially apologizing to the Martial Artists Alliance. Also, you have to swear a blood oath that from now on, no matter what happens, you won't step into the territory of the Martial Artists Alliance, and you won't kill a single disciple of the Alliance. If you agree to these two conditions, the grudge between you and the Martial Artists Alliance will be written off. For others, these two conditions weren't too much. After all, the strength of the Martial Artists Alliance was obvious. No one was willing to provoke such a powerful organization. But would Longao be willing to do that? Would he agree? Absolutely not. Longao wasn't a fool. The two conditions that Tong Tiendi just mentioned were only bad for him. If he agreed, he would be in a passive position. When the time came, Shangguan Yi could kill him, but he couldn't fight back. Wouldn't that be a pain in the ass? Chapter 1200. He sneered. How could Longao not know what Tong Tiendi meant? If he really agreed, wouldn't he be controlled everywhere in the future? Leader, please forgive me for not agreeing. Hearing this, the 8 deputy leaders were all shocked. Because the leader's words meant that he was willing to let the other party go. If it were someone else, they would have already agreed. Wasn't Longao digging his own grave by doing this? Shanghai Yi sneered in her heart. Longao was digging his own grave. He couldn't blame anyone else. But Tong Tiendi wasn't surprised at Longao's refusal. If Longao agreed, he wouldn't be Longao. A person who dared to break into the Martial Artists Alliance alone. It was obvious how tough Longao was. Longao, since you don't agree, what do you want? Since things had come to this point, Longao didn't hold back anymore. He took a step forward. Leader, I'm not an unreasonable person. It's simple. I'll write off the grudge between me and the Martial Artists Alliance. I can promise that as long as the Martial Artists Alliance doesn't provoke me, I won't kill anyone from the Martial Artists Alliance. What do you think? Longao wasn't a fool. The enmity between him and Shangguan Yi was already there. Longao was almost certain that Shangguan Yi would definitely not let this matter go in the future. That was why he had said such words in order to be prepared for any eventuality. Leader. He waved his hand to stop Tang Hao, who was about to speak. Longao, I won't agree to this. Do you know the consequences of doing this? You won't be able to leave the Martial Artists Alliance. Since you know, why do you still do this? The calmer Longao appeared, the more uneasy the 9 people felt. If Longao really left safely and revealed what had happened in the Outer Sea, how would the Martial Artists Alliance deal with the aftermath? Longao, I agree with what you just said. However, you have to remember that if what happened in the Outer Sea gets out, I won't let you off. Thank you. Goodbye. Now that the matter had been settled, Longao did not stay any longer. He turned around and left. Alliance Master, Longao has always known about what happened in the Outer Seas. If word gets out, we'll be in big trouble. If we don't remove the roots when cutting weeds, they'll grow again when the spring breeze blows. Tong Tiendi was well aware of what Shangguan Yi had said. His face was extremely gloomy. We, the Martial Artists Alliance, have been preparing for thousands of years. We can't let anything happen. Longao can't be touched for now. Tell everyone not to provoke Longao and the Dragon Sect. Shangguan Yi, including you, anyone who violates this order will be killed without mercy. Shangguan Yi cursed in her heart. She was still thinking about dealing with Longao later. Now that the Alliance Master had said this, even if she was very unwilling, she could only be angry and not say anything. Leaving the Martial Artists Alliance. Longao's face was also very serious. Although Tong Tiendi had agreed to his request, no one could say for sure. Moreover, Yu Yin was still in the Martial Artists Alliance. It seemed that he had to develop the sect as soon as possible. Longao did not go to the Imperial City immediately. Instead, he walked into the restaurant he had just left. He ordered a plate of spiced beef, a plate of peanuts, and a bottle of wine and drank alone. The reason why Longao did not leave was because he was waiting for someone. About half an hour later, a figure flashed. Tong Tiendi was already sitting opposite Longao. Longao, I'm very curious. How much do you know? Not much. But Alliance Master, I can say that no matter how much I know, as long as I leak it out, believe me. Longao did not finish his sentence. However, he believed that Tong Tiendi already knew what he was going to say next. He nodded. You're right. What happened in the Outer Sea cannot be leaked out. Longao, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't joke about this. Otherwise, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Ignoring the other party's threat. Longao had seen this kind of situation many times. Back when he had caused a ruckus in the Martial Artists Alliance, the 4 super experts had wanted to take him away. However, he still ignored them, let alone now. Alliance Master, I've always had a good relationship with the Martial Artists Alliance. It's because of Shangguan Yi that they've caused trouble for me time and time again. If it weren't for her, I believe that we wouldn't be in this situation. Similarly, the previous incident would not have happened. Tong Tiendi did not say anything. Alliance Master, whatever happens between the Outer Sea and the Martial Artists Alliance, I won't ask about it, nor will I leak it. I only hope that the Martial Artists Alliance will not cause trouble for me. I'll say the same thing again. Let's write off our previous grudges. All right. From the beginning to the end, Tong Tiendi had no intention of killing Longao. Otherwise, he would have done it long ago. In the end, Tong Tiendi still thought that Longao was a talent. Especially in the Alliance, Longao's various performances had already shown that as long as Longao did not die, he would definitely become a peerless expert in the future. Alliance Master, let's put this matter aside for now. There's one more thing. The grudge between me and Shangguan Yi will be resolved sooner or later. Therefore, there will be a battle between me and Shangguan Yi sooner or later. I hope that when that time comes, the Martial Artists Alliance will stand aside and watch. If this matter was heard by others, they would definitely scold Longao for being stupid. He wanted to deal with the Vice Alliance Master, but he asked the Martial Artists Alliance not to interfere. Did he really think that the Martial Artists Alliance was stupid? Tong Tiendi's face became a little gloomy. He said, Longao, enough is enough. Shangguan Yi will always be the Vice Alliance Master of the Martial Artists Alliance. If you want to deal with him, how can I not interfere? Alliance Master, for your sake, I can take a step back. As long as Shangguan Yi does not provoke me, I will definitely not provoke him. However, if he is shameless, then don't blame me for being merciless. Tong Tiandi was very clear about his opponent's character. The fact that he was able to barge into the Martial Artists Alliance alone was enough to show his character. In order to kill Yang Jian and Wang Hao, Longao dared to barge into the Martial Artists Alliance alone. If it was for Shangguan Yi, Longao would still dare to barge into the Martial Artists Alliance alone. Longao was the Alliance's nemesis. If the news of the Alliance taking a step back time and time again were to spread, how would they still have any face left? However, thinking about it, Longao had barged into the Alliance alone and killed their disciples. This matter had already spread throughout the Qianwu continent. The Alliance's reputation had been completely lost. Moreover, Longao was not dead, so the Alliance's reputation had been completely lost. Longao, are you determined to continue contending with the Alliance? Longao did not speak. His expression was calm. Seeing this situation, Tong Tiandi felt helpless. He smiled and said, Longao, you have to remember what you said before. I don't want the matter of the outer seas to be leaked. As for the enmity between you and Shangguan Yi, I won't ask about it. However, other people. I still say the same thing. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If people want to offend me, I will definitely offend them. In truth, Tong Tiandi had never thought that Shangguan Yi would lose to Longao. Author's note, copy of Chapter 6. Chapter 1201. Longao was only a ninth heaven demigod warrior. Shangguan Yi, on the other hand, was a Nirvana realm warrior. The gap between the two was huge. They were not on the same level at all. In front of a Nirvana realm warrior, a ninth heaven demigod warrior was like an ant. In the following time, Longao and Tong Tiandi didn't say anything else. The two of them drank one cup after another, slowly drinking like this. They drank for the whole night. The next morning, Tong Tiandi disappeared quietly. Longao did not say a word from beginning to end. In the secret room of the Martial Artists Alliance. Yi, from now on, you will only bring your men. No matter what happens, you have to kill Longao for me. Make sure nothing goes wrong. Although Tong Tiandi did not want to kill Longao, he knew very well that only a dead man would not reveal secrets. As long as Longao was alive, he would feel uneasy. Moreover, the matter of the outer sea could not be leaked. As the leader of the Martial Artists Alliance, no matter what happened, he had to put the interests of the alliance first. He was overjoyed. However, Shangguan Yi was very curious. He did not know why the leader suddenly changed his mind. He had already given the order that no one was to harm Longao. But now, he seemed to know what Shangguan Yi was thinking. The outer sea is the biggest secret of the alliance. We have been preparing for thousands of years. We can't let anything happen to it. So that was it. Leader, I can handle it alone. The problem now is that Longao has the help of a mysterious elder. I'm afraid that I can't kill Longao with my strength alone. Shangguan Yi still couldn't let go of the previous lesson he had learned. I've already thought about this matter. If I'm not mistaken, the old man beside Longao should be the legendary five-element slave of the five-element sect. It's very hard to imagine why Longao would possess a five-element slave. Five-element slave? Shangguan Yi was not unfamiliar with the five-element slaves. They were the legendary treasures of the five-element sect. Ever since the five-elements patriarch, the five-element sect's old ancestor, had fallen, the five-element slaves had also disappeared. According to the legends of the five-element sect, the five-element slaves were able to resist Nirvana realm martial artists. Rumors were just rumors, but it was a different story to actually see it. Alliance Master, what should I do now? If Longao was protected by the five-element slave, then this matter would be very troublesome. Shangguan Yi was very clear about her own strength. It would be very difficult for her to hurt the five-element slave by herself. In the current world, only Tong Tiendi and the others could hurt the five-element slaves. However, Shangguan Yi knew very well that the Alliance Master would not make a move. Otherwise, he would not have found her secretly. Until now, Shangguan Yi still did not know what the Alliance Master was afraid of. With the strength of Longao and the Dragon Sect, it would be very easy for the Alliance to destroy Longao and the Dragon Sect. As long as the Alliance Master made a move, even the five-element slave would not be able to do anything. The Alliance Master did not say anything, and she did not ask. As the Deputy Alliance Master of the Martial Artists Alliance, Shangguan Yi knew what to ask and what not to ask. I've thought about this matter. I have an agreement with Longao, so the Alliance and I will not make a move easily. Shangguan Yi did not say anything. The five-element slave only knows how to defend, but not attack. Therefore, the five-element slave's weakness is rarely found. However, in order to not provoke the five-element sect, we cannot destroy the five-element slave. Shangguan Yi nodded in understanding. Shangguan Yi understood the Alliance Master's meaning very well. The five-element slave was the most precious treasure of the five-element sect. If it was destroyed and the five-element sect found out, the five-element sect would definitely not let the matter rest. In any case, the five-element sect was very powerful. Unless it was a last resort, no one would be willing to provoke the five-element sect. Alliance Master, if this is the case, I can't defeat the five-element slave with my strength. Shangguan Yi waved his hand. I've thought about this matter. It's very simple. As long as you take this treasure of mine, it won't be a problem to trap the five-element slave. Shangguan Yi was delighted. Before Shangguan Yi could say anything, Tong Tiendi continued, remember, you must make it quick. Alliance Master, leave it to me. Shangguan Yi did not hesitate at all. He immediately took the treasure that Tong Tiendi gave him, turned around, and left quickly. Soon, he disappeared from the secret chamber. Longao, you didn't have to die, but Tong Tiendi's face was very gloomy. The entire secret chamber suddenly became dark and gloomy. After staying in the Imperial City for 2 days, Longao finally got up and left the Imperial City. In other words, he left the Martial Artists Alliance. During these 2 days, Longao had been thinking about Yu Yin. Although he had reached an agreement with the Martial Artists Alliance, Longao knew very well that there would be friction between him and the Martial Artists Alliance. If that was the case, there would be trouble sooner or later if Yu Yin continued to stay in the Martial Artists Alliance. Take Yu Yin away. Thinking back and forth, he thought for a full 2 days. In the end, Longao still chose to give up. The reason was very simple. There were only 2 points. First, with his current strength, it was indeed impossible for him to take Yu Yin away alone. Second, if Yu Yin continued to stay in the Martial Artists Alliance, there would only be advantages and no disadvantages. Longao knew very well that Yu Yin was highly valued by the Martial Artists Alliance. If he took Yu Yin away at this time, she would be in even more trouble. Therefore, after thinking for a while, Longao decided to give up on taking Yu Yin away. After leaving the Imperial City, Longao's expression changed slightly. He sneered. They were really shameless. They had just made an agreement with him, and in less than 2 days, the Martial Arts Alliance could no longer hold themselves back. Longao was still not sure who the person who was following him was. Could it be Shangguan Yi? Or another Deputy Alliance Master? Or the Alliance Master, Tong Tiendi? No matter who it was, Longao wanted to see who it was. He wanted to see if Tong Tiendi was a despicable and shameless person. Just like that, Longao's speed became faster and faster. However, he could not get rid of the person who was following him. In the end, Longao even used spatial teleportation. His speed was extremely fast. On the peak of a mountain less than a kilometer away from the Martial Artists Alliance. You've been following me all the way. Come out and let me see a stalker like you. Longao turned around and leaned his back against the cliff. Longao, you really don't know what's good for you. How dare you provoke me? Looking at the hundreds of people who suddenly appeared, Longao's expression was very ugly. However, he was not surprised at all. Just as he had guessed, the person who was following him all the way was none other than Shangguan Yi, his sworn enemy. Longao had already guessed what Tong Tiandi was trying to do. The martial artists' alliance could not make a move, but Shangguan Yi could. In the end, Tong Tiandi was really shameless. Author's note: Chapter 7 delivered. Chapter 1202. Follower. Shangguan Yi was not angry at all. She did not take Longao seriously at all. Long Di Tian and Sima too were not here. As for the five-element slave, she did not care about them either. Longao, do you think that you can ignore the world and have nothing to worry about because you have the five-element slave? Hearing this, Longao's heart skipped a beat. Shangguan Yi already knew about the five-element slave. Longao was not surprised at all. Ha ha ha, Longao, are you afraid? Shangguan Yi laughed crazily. She said coldly, Longao, I want to see how you can leave here alive today. She gave the order. Hundreds of Supreme Dao warriors behind Shangguan Yi swarmed forward. They wanted to end the battle quickly. Longao also knew that Shangguan Yi would not let him off easily this time. Therefore, he summoned 200 divine dragon corpse slaves directly. A dragon roar sounded. With 200 divine dragon corpse slaves fighting against 100 supreme Dao warriors, the result was obvious. Shangguan Yi did not care about the hundreds of subordinates. As long as she could kill Longao, she would not hesitate to sacrifice everyone. Shangguan Yi took a big step forward and shot towards Longao. She was as fast as a breeze. The five-element slave appeared and blocked Shangguan Yi's palm. Ha ha ha, Longao, so what if you have the five-element slave? Shangguan Yi laughed crazily when she did not kill Longao with her palm. Shangguan Yi took out a mirror from nowhere and threw it at the five-element slave. The mirror released a faint black light and enveloped the five-element slave. A shocking scene happened. The five-element slave was locked in by the faint black light. Seeing this, Longao was shocked. At this moment, Longao finally understood why Shangguan Yi was so confident. She knew that he had the five-element slaves, but she did not care at all. This showed that Shangguan Yi had come prepared. The five-element slave had been locked onto. This was going to be troublesome. Longao's body suddenly disappeared and entered the dragon seal space. Longao, you can't escape. The 200 divine dragon corpse slaves also disappeared. However, Shangguan Yi had no intention of leaving. Instead, she ordered all her subordinates to guard the area. Not a single blade of grass or tree was to be left untouched. Although they did not know how Longao had suddenly disappeared, Shangguan Yi, Tong Tiandi, and the others had already guessed that Longao must have used a spatial artifact. That was indeed the case. Shangguan Yi did not leave immediately. Instead, she sealed off the entire mountain peak. In the dragon seal space, Longao's face did not look good. Originally, the five-element slave could withstand the attack of a Nirvana realm warrior. That was why he was not afraid. But what was the result? Shangguan Yi had used an unknown artifact to lock onto the five-element slave. In this case, he had no other choice but to enter the dragon seal space. Long Fu, is there any way to eliminate a Nirvana realm warrior? Master, there is no way at the moment. He let out a deep sigh. A Nirvana realm warrior was the most powerful warrior besides those who had reached the pinnacle of the martial Dao. Even a Nirvana realm warrior might not be able to defeat Shangguan Yi, let alone him. What should he do? However, the dragon seal space could not be moved. Unless he left the dragon seal space and left with it. Xiling and Bai Ling suddenly appeared. Although Xiling and Bai Ling's original bodies were extremely powerful, they had not recovered from their injuries. If they forced themselves to fight against a Nirvana realm warrior, they might be even more injured. Therefore, Longao did not plan to invite the two Genling. Brother Long, are you okay? Since their last union, Longao and Bai Ling's relationship had obviously become much closer. Shaking his head, Longao smiled and said, I'm fine. That's enough, Longao. We already know what happened. Xiling glared at him and said coldly, the artifact in the opponent's hand can lock onto a Nirvana Realm warrior. If I'm not wrong, this artifact should be the supreme artifact of the Martial Artists Alliance. This time, they are here to deal with you. Longao nodded. How could Longao not know about this? Without the resistance of the 5-element slaves, Longao was very clear that he did not even know if he could successfully leave this place, let alone fight against Shangguan Yi. Could it be that if Shangguan Yi never left this place, he would have to stay in the Dragon Seal space forever? Xiling, do you have a way to deal with this? If we use our sword essence, it's more than enough to kill a Nirvana Realm warrior. Don't. Longao was shocked. He did not want Xiling and Bai Ling to take the risk. If something happened to the sword essence, what would he do? Longao would rather stay in the Dragon Seal space for a while than let Xiling and Bai Ling use their sword essence. Bai Ling and Xiling seemed to understand Longao's thoughts. Bai Ling said helplessly, Brother Long, with our current situation, it's very difficult to deal with a Nirvana Realm warrior. It's okay, I'll think about it. Longao was a little troubled. He was almost certain that Shangguan Yi would not leave before she found him. Who knew how long she would stay? Longao, although we don't have a way to deal with a Nirvana Realm warrior, we can forcefully activate the power of heaven and earth. In this way, it will be easy to scare her away. Until now, Longao still could not guess the strength of Xiling and Bai Ling. Genling, who was at the peak of the martial way, did not know which of the two Genling's strength was stronger, compared to Tian Dao. Since things had come to this was the only way. Outside the Dragon Seal space, Shangguan Yi was guarding the peak of the mountain with all her might. Hundreds of Divine Path warriors were searching for Longao's whereabouts. Just as Longao had guessed, Shangguan Yi was determined to kill him. She would not rest until she found him. Boom, boom, boom. Just as Shangguan Yi was searching for Longao's whereabouts, thunder boomed from the 9 heavens. In the blink of an eye, dark clouds filled the sky. Before Shangguan Yi and the others could react, the terrifying thunder had already descended. Catcher, catcher. Perhaps because they could not react in time, the surrounding Divine Path warriors were struck to death instantly. Looking at the situation, everyone, including Shangguan Yi, was dumbfounded. They did not know what was going on. Shangguan Yi was indignant. He knew that it was not easy to lock onto Longao. As long as he continued to lock onto Longao, he did not believe that Longao would not come out. If he were to leave now, Longao would be prepared. It would be extremely difficult to find him in the future. But what if he did not leave? The terrifying thunder continued to strike. At this rate, things would get troublesome. P.S. Chapter 8 has been delivered. There are 2 more chapters to be delivered. I hope that everyone will give their monthly and recommendation tickets to Little 9. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,